There's water. If you want something. Yeah, yeah.
You don't tell about it?
No. I think last year, I was like right away in the morning.
Doable. And would you please do a roll call of the 4 sworn in supervisors?
Sure. Carl Walzer,
Here.
Lori Fitzgerald here, Arlen Ty,
Here.
and Steve Jernigan.
Here. So this meeting is open because we've got a 45-day period in which to open the Board of Review. But in almost all cases, the assessment law isn't yet complete, and so what I'm going to do is move to adjourn until the meeting on July 29th, 2024. So I'm making that a motion. I'll move to adjourn this meeting until the Board Review meeting that's scheduled for July 29th, 2024 at noon. I need a second for that. A second. Arlen seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. And motion passes. And then see this meeting.
Oh, I just have to sign it.
Is adjourned. Tonight's Town of Oregon Board meeting will come to order, and you've got the swearing in first, Jennifer. Do you want to do that
Yeah,
first?
absolutely.
And then do a roll call for everybody.
You ready, Tom?
Yep.
Really efficient. Raise your right hand.
Yep.
All right. I, Tim LeBrun, having been appointed to the office of supervisor, but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
Yes, do I need to repeat that or?
No, you just need to sign that.
All
Thank
right,
you.
very good. Thank you.
All right, congratulations, Tim.
Yes, thank you.
And then Jennifer, would you do the roll call for everybody?
I will. Carol Walzer,
Here?
Lori Fitzgerald here, Arlen Kai,
Here.
Steve Jernigan,
Here.
and Tim LeBrun.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4 is approval of minutes, and in the packet, there are 3 sets, and then the Road and Safety Committee, Road and Traffic Safety Committee minutes from the 9th are not in the packet, but we could probably just approve those. Or is
Not
this
approve those.
say?
I don't,
Okay.
no, we're never gonna
Just for
approve those. He wanted to reference the minutes,
Got it.
in, agenda item 13.
Okay, then the minutes we're approving tonight, then, the April 9th town board meeting, the April 15th bid opening, the April 16th road bids. Any discussion or concerns about those minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved.
And I need to abstain from that approval, right? Because I wasn't at those meetings,
Yeah,
so I just abstained.
And then item number 5, financial report and loan update, Jennifer. That's on or around page 10.
so. We'll go 10. So line 10 is, beginning of line 10, the top of that is our bank balances. That's what Stephanie will give you. And that's the top of line 10, or top of page 10, excuse me. Page 11 is just, the current loans the town has. And then that's my portion too, I guess, but then the bills that we are paying this month are on pages 12, 13. Those are the bills we're paying. So Tim, this big stack of paper right here will correlate to what checks I've written.
Mhm.
And so basically what you can do is if you want to ever look at something, you would be able to look through here, it's alphabetical.
Got it.
And you'd be able to find like, oh, what did we buy, or what's this
Sure.
for?
Mhm.
And that's just that.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Mhm. And then the board goes through it, and then there's a part on here where everyone just signs off that they had a chance to look at it.
All right, very good.
And then the page 14 is basically the same thing, just in a different format where it's a little easier to read. And then page 15 is the total of all of those, plus everything we paid in payroll and payroll liabilities. And then, well, I did something just for Tim. Tim asked if he was here. So page 16 and 17, which we're not gonna wanna talk about now, but there was discussion about knowing where we were in the budget. And so essentially that's page 16 and 17. I
Thank
just
you.
put it in there, yeah. But again, kind of early in the meeting to start digging into something like that. so.
You don't wanna go like.
Oh, sorry, 16, 17, 18, 19. I guess there's some more pages. Yeah, 'cause I did every single line item. And I thought, okay,
Excellent.
Yeah.
Item 6 is the public comments time, and so the MetroGo guy, don't worry about this, you've got your own item, but anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Public comments at all? I do have something, though. I have a letter that I received. I just wanted to read it out loud real quick. It's short. Dear Carl, following this year's April, spring, and presidential preference election, I move to express my appreciation and pride for the work of Town Clerk Jennifer Hansen and Deputy Clerk Stephanie Goth. I was a poll worker on election day and saw firsthand the competent, tireless, cheerful, professional work of our two clerks. On election day, before the polls opened at 7 a.m., Jennifer and Stephanie were already hard at work at the town hall, and they didn't stop working until well after the polls closed at 8 p.m. when every single ballot had been tallied. There's more. Had been tallied, verified, reported, and secured. The count came out perfectly. There's an awful lot to know about election laws these days, so many rules and technicalities. Election day can sometimes present challenging tests of a clerk's knowledge, as well as her talents for diplomacy and patience. On every test, Jennifer and Stephanie scored a grade of 100%. In these days of cynicism and misinformation concerning elections in our country, let's be sure to give credit where credit is due. The citizens of our town can have full confidence in our elections under the leadership of our hardworking clerks, Jennifer and Stephanie. Yours truly, Tim Yanacek. And then for items 7 and 8, I'm going to call an audible and flip-flop those. So item 8 is a presentation. Amanda Wagner is not here from Metro Grove, but 4 gentlemen are. If you would like to present information.
Great.
The Metro Grove material in the packet starts around page 3.
I'll stay here for 5. So my name is Marty Griffin. I'm with the Madison Sewer District. I have with me today Ross and Zach, and as they come up and give a little bit of information, I'll just have them introduce themselves. So we're at the Madison Sewer District, so your neighbors to the north here. And as you know, we treat about 40 million gallons per day at the sewer district. And one of the byproducts of treating wastewater is the biosolids. We produce around 40 million gallons of biosolids every year. So we at the district believe in a sustainable closed cycle. So instead of landfilling or incinerating a biosolids product, we feel like it's a valuable fertilizer product that could be used on farm fields. So we like to have a sustainable outlook on what we do. And what we do is we go out and apply this as a free fertilizer for farmers. So we feel that it helps our farming community to keep their costs down for fertilizer. It helps keep the nutrients that we all eat the food. It comes to a wastewater treatment plant. We treat it, puts it back out in the environment. So it's a closed loop and nothing gets wasted. So we really like to look at our biosolids product as like a really valuable product. The trade name is MetroGrow. So that's what you've heard. I call it biosolids product, but our trade name, we call it MetroGrow. And it's about a 95% liquid, 5% solid product. So we're heavily regulated on how it gets applied. And so I have Zach here, who's our biosolids specialist, who's going to talk a little bit about how we keep it safe and how we apply on farm fields. And also Ross is here to talk about the operation side of things. So logistically, how we operate our trucks and things like that. And then I'll wrap it up with just a little bit of thoughts on some other new emerging things that we have to keep track of for biosolids. So
Would you like us to hit you with questions as you're going or wait till? till the
I
end?
think, why don't we let us get through it and then we can go.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, as Marty mentioned, I'm Zach, I'm the biosolids specialist, so I take care of all the grower communication, so I line up all the fields, I do all the field inspections. And I take care of all the regulatory and compliance, reporting with the DNR. So yeah, every single field that we apply on is permitted with the DNR. So prior to any application, we have to go out and dig for shallow bedrock, shallow groundwater. So we can't have bedrock or groundwater within 36 inches of the surface of the soil. So we go out and probe down, make sure there's no bedrock, no groundwater. We send that packet in to the DNR and they make approvals for each field based on the information. So all of our product is injected in the soil versus surface applied. So we're injecting all of the product 6 to 8 inches down, so there's nothing left on the surface. When we leave a couple different types of tillage we have, there's a low disturbance bar, it's on 30-inch centers, so that's knifing 30 inches down, way less soil disturbance. And there are some few bars that we have that is more like a field cultivator, so it works the ground up a little more, gets the product a little closer together. And some of the growers like that for, they're gonna plant soybeans after wheat or something like that, so a little more even application. So in all the fields, they have setbacks that are in, it's the NR 204. It's like 200 feet for residences, 250 feet for private wells, 1,000 feet for community wells, 100 feet for wetlands. So there are a lot of the strict guidelines in place for our applications. Our application rates are based on nitrogen needs of the crop. So all of our product is sampled weekly for nutrients. So when we're hauling, we take a sample every day. Those get combined into a weekly sample. And then we use that information to create our application rates for the product, whether it's corn on corn or corn on soybeans, any other nitrogen that may be in the soil, we make adjustments from there. So it's all based on, and that's UW 2809. It's a publication that we follow for creating our application rates. All the fields have to be soil tested on 5-acre grids within 4 years to apply on them. That's another UW recommendation. And Marty had mentioned our product is 95% water, 5% solids on average. So when we're applying, it looks, when our trucks are coming in the fields, it looks like, it's a lot of product, but like I mentioned, 95% water. If you convert that to dry tons, we're around 1.5 to 2 dry tons per acre of actual biosolids. If you figure out, eliminate the water from it. Yeah, back to the testing. So as I mentioned, the weekly test for nutrients. Then those same grab samples get combined into a monthly sample, and then we test the nutrients on that. And that's where we test the metals then. There are some heavy metals in there, and we follow the EPA guidelines for that. So there's a EPA ceiling limit to where if you hit that level, you can't apply. And then there's a EPA exceptional quality limit. And our metals are on average like 10 to 30% of the actual exceptional quality limits. Our levels are very low. Our product is a Class B biosolid. So there's a Class A and Class B. A Class A, it all depends on the amount of pathogens within the product. So a Class A is 1,000 NPNs per gram or less. And the Class B is up to 2 million. So there's a big gap there from Class A to Class B. So over the last 5 years, I have a chart. Our highest monthly sample was 55,000. And 70% of the time we're below 1,000. So, our plant just isn't, I don't understand a lot of it, but, we're a Class B. We remove a lot of the pathogens, but not all of them. So we're considered Class B still, even though we're running Class A 70% of the time. That's about all I had right now. It's kind of our program in a nutshell. Ross Hallfuller will be up next.
Well, I'm Ross, I'm the Metro Grow Operations Supervisor. Once Zach gets the fields all chosen and flagged for application, that's when I step in. We have 18 semi trailers that haul for us. We'll run up to 4 application sites at one time. All the trailers are pulled by contractors. Most of them are local farmers in the area. So then, once we determine which fields we're going to, and any of them in town of Oregon, I contact Public Works. We have to face uphill to get the trailers unloaded. So you can really only unload at the field site one particular way. So I'll discuss with Public Works in every township we work with, best way in, best way out for the roads, for the township and for safety. We'll go out there, I'll go out there and we'll look, hills, whatever's potential danger. We'll put cones up on the side of the road to keep the trucks on the road, like a foot, so we don't bust up the edge. Put road signs out. The drivers should be wearing reflective vests and try to do it in a safe manner. And once the application site's done, we try to clean the tires off best we can, track mud out onto the road. Usually the applicator is just going in and then leaving. So you're not making multiple trips in and out of the field, making a mess of the road. We'll usually talk to the township, tell them how many loads we're expecting roughly, when we're gonna be there, when we're gonna be done. So if anybody calls the township with questions like what are all these trucks doing, when are they gonna be gone? They kind of know. We try not to work, in the spring, we'll work longer hours, but for the most part, we try to be off the roads and out of there before people get home from work in the summer and fall, unless we're behind. Just less traffic, just less disturbing the peace for the neighborhood. That's all I have for the application part. Marty?
I just had a question about the map and whether do you happen to know if you recognize this map? And if those are, I think it says it's 2015 to current. I don't know if that means that some may have been Metro Grow fields, 8 years ago and they aren't anymore, or is this really like current?
That is, any field that has been applied on since 2015.
Got it.
Some of them might have been 2015, might have been the last year.
Okay,
But some of them are on rotation.
okay. Okay, good. Anybody have any questions?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I put in your packet, that was just timely on page 41, that, Roth called Adel today and he
Oh,
sent,
yes.
so he sent us an email and I just thought it was.
That's what Abel kind of said, that he sends an email just so everybody kind of knows what's going on, but,
What's the smallest field you apply?
Smallest?
Yeah, we apply no less than 5 acres, or I'm just curious.
It really depends on if there's a lot of setbacks in it. We don't really, or if it's next to another bigger one that we're doing, we don't really have a set number where we're like, oh, that's too small for us. So yeah, it just depends on what's there and time wise what we're doing.
Can you apply all growing season long?
No,
Just in the spring?
just spring,
Okay.
summer, once wheat starts to come off, and then in the fall when the soybeans and corn start to come off.
and once the ground is frozen, we cannot apply.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is how you market typically? How do you market? Do you market to all the ag-related articles, or how do you market?
And we had a good customer base for a very long time.
So word of mouth and.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah, I'll add, like, we offer this as a free product, so we're not getting any revenue from it. And the reason why we do that is because, as I said, we have 30 million gallons every year we have to manage. And we need to get out when we need to get out. It does not always line up with the farmer's needs, right? So to make a farmer whole, if we have to take a hit on yield because we can't get out later than they want us to, we feel that we shouldn't be charging people for that when we're dictating on our schedule. I mean, we try to work with the farmers, but at the end of the day, you gotta get rid of the material in the field. So at this point, we don't charge at all. We offer as a free service and we do all the, as you heard, all the work for the farmers.
Thank you.
We had been approached by some of the residents that were very concerned about PFAS chemicals coming in via Metro Grove. Are you testing your effluent for PFAS?
Yeah, no, thanks for that question. So we actually are. So your exact talk about we test for nutrients, we test for metals. And so we actually are now testing for PFAS. We are currently testing for about 33 PFAS compounds. As you know, there's thousands and thousands of PFAS compounds. You heard how we're regulated for the metals and for the nutrients. And we're not 100% regulated for PFAS yet. Currently, there's guidance from DNR that talks about only 2 PFAS compounds out of the 33 that we test for. So the good news is that we're well under the DNR guidelines for these 2 specific PFAS compounds. And all of our other levels are also very, very low. And so all of our information about our testing, whether it's the metals or the nutrients or PFAS, can be found like on our website and stuff. So we kind of make that be transparent for folks. So yes, we do test. It's in there, but the levels are very low and below the DNR guidance for what you're supposed to do. The guidance that DNR has currently out there has 3 tiers. The first tier says if you're above a certain level of these 2 PFAS compounds, you have to monitor, notify, and let people know what's going on. The second tier says you have to reduce application rates, and the third tier says you cannot apply at all. So we're below the very first tier. So we're in pretty good shape, but we're monitoring it and testing over time to make sure that we always stay in that status.
So is all the monitoring being done internally through Madison Sewage, through Metro Grove? Or
Yeah.
is it an outside agency that also does some monitoring and testing?
So we actually collect the samples ourselves, but then we send them out to a third-party laboratory to do the analysis. And so then we receive those results back.
Who is a third party?
We use currently, our current contract is with Eurofins Laboratories. But we have a procurement process where we're not going to keep a contract with them forever. So that's our current contract. We've also had contracts in the past with Pace Laboratories as well.
Okay.
The Wisconsin DNR has a list on their website of certified laboratories for PFAS compounds. So we made sure to use one of those certified labs, and there's many more than just the 2 I mentioned.
Thank you.
Is it likely that in the upcoming years, I think this discussion of PFAS is getting quite hot now? Is the DNR, and I don't know if this would be in your wheelhouse to answer, but is it likely the DNR is going to be revisiting and imposing broader guidelines as they learn more about PFAS? Just. Can't,
You know, with
can't,
that.
don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I can look into my crystal ball and tell you what I think it says
Yes.
and give you my opinion on that. I think the answer is yes. I think that EPA currently is doing a risk assessment for PFAS and biosolids. And DNR is eagerly awaiting that to revise their current guidelines. I think once those are more solidified, I think they'll move toward putting things into the actual NR 204 rules and things like that than just this guidance. I think we're on that pathway without a doubt.
So that's a good thing for people to know, I think.
Yeah.
That are concerned, that this isn't, it's in process.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
You were also mentioning the heavy metals. But both PFAS and heavy metals don't go away, is my understanding. And that, so there's concern about accumulation over time of things that will not break down to where there will be a problem. How do we address that concern?
Yeah, so that's a kind of 2-part question. So for heavy metals, right, the regulations of the levels that are allowable in the biosolids materials, are at a level that EPA says if you apply, it won't accumulate. They're so low, right? Our particular program, so just for the sewer district, we actually don't apply in every field every year. We have a 3-year rotation. So we only apply in fields once every 3 years to even, lessen the sort of accumulation impact. When it comes to PFAS, though, I think it's a little bit different. I think we're still learning and understanding how accumulation within soil media actually happens. We know that PFAS that like to be in our biosolids are the kind that like to stick to solids. They like to stay in the soil. That's why they like to be in the biosolids when it comes to our plant from the community. We also know since they like to be in solids, they don't like to move so much. So that would say there could be some accumulation. The other thing about PFAS is while they don't necessarily break down, they do transform into other compounds. So sometimes it's hard to know if you're looking at one PFAS compound, are you gonna have accumulation of just one, or is that gonna transform into something else and maybe you have a different issue? So I think we're still learning how this accumulation actually works with PFAS. And I think that's why we're really working on making sure that the levels are really, really, really low, that they're allowable to be out there, so you don't have to worry about that type of thing happening.
And I will add one thing about the metals. There is a maximum allowable amount per acre for each metal. So so we track all that, how many like pounds per acre we put on of each one of those metals. That's, for our monthly samples. So if you get to like 90% of one of them maxes, you have to notify the DNR and, start to, remove that actual location from your program.
Okay, what type of metals are we talking about?
Arsenic was one. We test for lead, zinc, copper,
Mercury.
mercury,
Nickel, zinc, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got the list.
I was like, I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Those specialists.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head either, but yeah, there's a list. I think that there's 8 metals that we have to test for, and we test for a couple extra ones too.
All right, any other questions? Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Can stay for the next 2 hours if you want to.
At the Towns Association meeting tomorrow night? Okay, so if you go to the Towns
Yeah.
Association.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle?
So let's flip back into item number 7, which is rewarding the road bids.
And the road bids are in the packet, but then you might want to turn to page 8 or 9, and that's in a better format to look at it than it is to look at individual pages of each of the contracts.
And Arlen, does the committee have a recommendation on this?
The committee did have a recommendation. And on the handout that you have from the minutes, shows that recommendation. And you have item 4A. We have $140,000 budgeted for the road work.
I think
Pardon?
I just like one grab it, yeah,
This is the main item.
yeah.
For the May 9th.
One of the- one
For the May
grab.
9th meeting.
It's not in the packet, Steve.
Yeah, I don't know what's at the bottom.
Okay, no? May 9th meeting, and then we have $140,000 budgeted for the 2024 road work. Where the motion was made to include the $14,589.84 in excess of the bids, or in excess of the budget. And that we should be looking to include that within a borrowing package that we are contemplating this year. Now, that also The bids came in very well. The information that we have is that right now, the oil cost is down, and that in fact, a number of other towns are loading up on doing the seal coating and road work because the costs are down this year. No guarantee next year, but they're down from previous years. Under item B, we're also recommending that we work with the town of Brooklyn in Greene County to be seal coating our half of Alpine Road, which is 1.63 miles long, and the seal coating would be 26,000. So these are two things that are above and beyond our budget right now, or the budget that we have is recommended to be accepting these with it's funny when you can't talk so well.
Arlen, I'm just gonna stop you for a minute. The seal coating I have as agenda item 13B, I don't have it in with the
Okay.
agenda item 7.
Then we can be-
Clarify.
That's on the minute.
Just to give you a heads up that that's coming.
So let's do
Otherwise, if we are holding to the 140, for now, we would have to be cutting one of the seal coating projects, most likely on the west end of the town.
So this is the timing for when we wanted to evaluate the budget versus priority projects that have come up that were not in the previous year's version of the budget, that were written into this year. So my preference, and I think we talked about it as a group too, is that we do have some kind of package of financing that addresses, especially some of the road projects and some of the other projects that are pretty critical. Jennifer, I think this dovetails into the loan balance discussions and what's being paid off and what we'll finance again. What about timing on that though? And if we tonight say, yes, we want to do the full list of road work, then we're at about 40-something thousand that we would need to finance. If we approve that, and there's some other things on the agenda too, that are projects that we probably want to, the public works space and the storage project and the storage area. What is the best process to do that in order to get it into financing for this year? Do we need to approve the financing tonight, or can we approve the financing? Can we approve, say, the projects tonight, essentially contingent on financing? And I guess what I really mean is, if we approve projects tonight and it's the full, 154 and the full 26,000 or whatever else, we're gonna have some dollar amount that we need to eventually finance. Is there a way to bridge the time between now and when we get into discussing and finalizing whatever the new financing is?
My preference would be that there would be an approval for a loan package prior to awarding a bid, because then you would know that you have the money. Are you following what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Okay,
Yeah,
so my preference would be is that you would have that dollar amount, because otherwise you're predicating paying someone without securing the financing,
Right.
without agreeing on the financing amount.
right.
If I'm,
Yeah, it would involve some kind of bridge, some kind of, if it were to work in a different way, in a different order than what you're describing, it would involve approvals, some kind of bridge financing.
I don't know what that bridge financing.
Like if it's general fund or whatever it is. I shouldn't say financing, I should say funding, let's say.
Okay,
Oh, that's good. So, I'm just gonna work out the timing. Okay.
I guess normally you would want to have your loan secured and then you would want to award the bid.
No, I know.
What scares me is, you know, you have to have the whole board agree when you want to take out a loan.
Mhm.
So you can award a bid and you can pay someone, and then you're coming back and you're hoping that all of these board members are like, yeah, cool, we're gonna approve the loan, but they don't have to.
Right.
So that's the risk that I see in doing it that way. If you,
Okay, so that
but
puts us at,
you can definitely do it that way if you plan to take out a loan later down the road. It's not that town, we don't get all of our money on January first.
Right.
So our money ebbs and flows throughout the year because we get money, our transportation aid doesn't come all on January 1.
Right.
We get it in installments. The state sends it to us in installments. So it's not that we can't pay the bill necessarily. It's just that the order.
right.
And it's not that the town hasn't done that before. Definitely, they've awarded bids and then gone back and done it. There's history there. It's just not the way I would prefer to do it.
There's another calendar factor in here. And that when we went out with, Farner and Payne and Dolan, they're looking at doing the work, the 1st of June. In the first 2 weeks in June.
Mhm.
That's their tentative plan. Let's just say it's somewheres in June. But their, part of the work would be done in the first 2 weeks. Which means that we'd have to have a decision now as to how much work we're going to be contracting for.
So we've got, in the balance, we've got the additional, 6 or 15,000 with the road work and the 26-ish thousand with, Alpine. I think we can work around the road bid and adjusting the roads in that, but what do we want to do about Alpine?
That,
Or should we table that till, when it comes up actually in the agenda? Although it's part of the same discussion. You know what I'm saying? It's,
would you rephrase that?
because you've got it in your minutes, it was the same item, but in our agenda. for
We're
tonight, it's
separate.
separate. So we can table that until, half an hour from now. Whenever it is. But it's really the same discussion. It's really about where, if we try to take advantage of, like, say, the Union, I'm sorry, the Alpine seal coating, we kind of need to decide. They're waiting on us. But then where does that come from? If we go the route of having financing approved prior to pulling the trigger on particular projects.
I think you would want to at least agree to financing. You would want to have a board vote that you're gonna agree to financing at some point.
Right. Right. It's just not on the agenda tonight. Not specifically.
Right.
Indirectly, it's on there, but.
Because the road work is coming up rapidly. I don't have a date certain on Alpine when that work is going to be done. But they're not holding off until September, so I'm assuming that right now. We can be verifying, but it also would be early summer, and that's about all
Okay.
So agenda item 13, I'm sorry, 16C.
excuse me?
I'm sorry, he said it
oh,
wasn't
okay.
on the agenda and I said.
Oh, okay. All right, so then, I thought that was more general than specifically loan approval. So are we then in a position of, it's just kind of an inside out agenda order in a way.
Yes.
I mean, so I think what it comes down to is we need to make a list, right? So if we approve the projects, the road projects and the other projects, we're gonna end up with a list of things that total up to a certain dollar amount. And then in theory, we could approve that.
I'm gonna assume you're gonna go through the Bureau of Public Lands
Yeah.
for a loan. So how that works is, once you come up with a dollar amount, it's gonna come back to the board in the form of a resolution.
Right,
And you're gonna approve that loan package in that resolution. So what you could do tonight is, under 16C, is you could approve a loan, but it's still gonna come back to you once you get that dollar figure. In a resolution.
okay, and so we'd have to approve the resolution. then.
Yeah, with that loan amount. It is, yeah. Mhm. Because it goes through their board as well.
hmm,
It has to, so they have to like basically approve us, then it comes back here.
okay.
I'm
So.
not quite sure that went around in a big circle.
Well, okay, so what we're attempting to do, and what Jennifer has pointed out, is that we've got an agenda item tonight under 16
Yes,
that allows for us to approve financing,
yes.
not just for roads, but for the other projects that we might be talking about tonight. So we'll take, here's the 26,000 that we need for Alpine. Here's the additional 15,000 that we need for road work. Here's the whatever costs. And at the end, toward the end of the meeting, we'll know, oh, we're talking about financing $100,000 or whatever the amount is. I don't know what it is. So we've got the ability to do that tonight, which gets us pretty far down the path of saying, yep, we can do these projects. Then the actual financing documents and the resolution come at a later date, but we would also need to approve that. So that's what it is kind of a circle.
Yes, it is.
It's like chicken and egg.
We have to do it though, because with the way we borrow through the Board of Public Lands, like, I have to tell them what we want. They have to go to their board. They have to say, yeah, that's okay. Then they send the resolution back to us, and you guys have to agree. So it is, but that's the way that the borrowing works.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
we-
the process.
So what, go through the steps that we need to do right now.
So if we were to craft a motion for the road work and you're recommending the Farner bid, the 154,600, let's say. 154,600, then would we craft the motion as approving 140,000 because that's already in the budget? And then the remaining balance is approved pending financing approval?
I think at this point, as long as, I think you're gonna have a running total of some sort. And then you might wanna come back to the June meeting and try to firm up the actual financing number. But I think just as long as you agree that you're gonna be financing, right, that's what 16C will do.
And
like-
maybe put in there up to a certain amount. Up to 140,000, whatever the number is, and then come back and refine it
Right,
to an actual.
we know that number though, that number is set in the budget, the 140,000 is in the budget. It's the additional for that particular bid. But
I put it at the end, I think, because because not only you're talking about this one, there's a few other things we're talking about.
definitely,
And so you kind of have to see what they all add up to.
right,
Yeah, when you get to the end. So I think as long as the board's comfortable and everyone has been general agreeance that you're going to be doing that, I think you can move ahead and award the bid with knowing that you're gonna get to that point at the end of the meeting.
Jennifer, is there ever a precedent of the Bureau not approving someone's request for a loan? And is that something we'd have to worry about?
Now, and I'll go through later where the town of Oregon is, and I don't know what is a perfect score, credit score for a person.
For a town, for a municipality?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we don't have much to worry about. It would actually be replacing, this would actually be replacing a loan that we would be paying off, so.
so there's, depending on the amount, and I don't remember the amount of the existing one, but.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a wash as far as an individual property owner's tax, so. We're not in financing these things, we're not adding to somebody's tax bill. not in this action. So, okay, so back to this, so I'm really trying to sort out how to craft the motion for this, and I almost feel. I almost feel like we would scrap it as approved pending financing, and then the pending financing part comes in item 16. And then we approve the financing there. Does that make sense to people? Does that make sense to logic? So we would take the first one, then Arlen would be this road bid. It's, so
Okay.
essentially we,
if we're essentially, okay,
and the only difference with this one, I guess, is that we know that 140,000 of it won't really be financed.
no, that would be, we
You know,
have
it would
that.
be like, here's a payment.
So we're looking at the potential financing of $14,589.84.
Right.
Okay, so. Let me try to see if we can craft this. Is that from the Road and Safety Committee? We approve accept and approve the bid from Farner Construction for the seal coating and the wedging work as listed on page 8, I guess in 9 as well, of the agenda. And the balance beyond 140,000 would be covered by a financing to be this.
Financing package to include other items coming up on the agenda.
So would that be also including the proposal for Alpine Road, that 26,000?
We'll get to
We'll
that.
get to that, yes.
That's coming up.
Now,
Start with the 14.
We're gonna just go through
Yeah,
and
start with the
see
14.
which ones we approve.
Can I speak before you make your motion? I'm Luke from Scott Construction.
Technically not. But go ahead.
I'm the low bidder, so that everybody knows I'm the low bidder on the chip seal by $454.84. You wanna go with Farner, and they're using Payne and Dolan, who did horrible work here the last I bid it. They came in on a Saturday, snuck in, did crap work and left. And Abel was unhappy with it. I get the huge difference in the pay, I get it. If he watches them, everything should be fine, but I don't understand why you would, to the people, accept their bid when I'm cheap bidder. And why would I ever come back here if you don't respect the low bid?
Okay, thanks for your comment.
Oh, and if you went with me with the FA2, you would save $4,000. And you could give Farner the 3/8. You would save 4,000 there.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, are these individual bids or is this a bid package for all of this work?
The bid paperwork is on page 21, and Arlen, you guys discussed it, and I think that the bid paperwork was discussed at your meeting, Road and Traffic, and what did you determine that it was a bid package and not?
Was a bid package. And we will recommend, and the Road and Safety Committee recommended accepting the Farner bid as a complete bid package. There were 3 bids. One was incomplete. One only included wedging.
Right.
2, Scott and Farner included both the seal coating and the wedging. And as you see the price difference, there's a significant difference in the package. So we did not accept or the Payne and Dolan, it was incomplete. We have accepted the 2 and we are recommending awarding the bid to
Got it.
Farner
Yes, as a package,
as a package.
which precludes us from Farner gets these jobs and Scott gets these jobs.
Yes.
And that's really what my question was,
Yes.
is that it precludes us from picking and choosing.
It does not tell them I could choose every day. I see it every week.
Thank you.
You all.
Okay, let's continue with the motion. And Jennifer, were you able to transcribe that?
No, but I found there's closed caption on YouTube, so I can read what you guys say now instead of just listening.
Okay, essentially what it was a motion, and Arlen, tell me if I go wrong, but I think it was a motion to approve the farmer bid, to award it. And then as far as funding it, 140,000 from existing budget allocation, and the additional would be pending approved financing.
Yes.
That sound right to everybody? Okay,
I'll second that.
I'll be looking for a second. Any discussion about this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion passes. I'm sorry.
I said no.
Okay.
Okay, so one no. And that's Fitzgerald.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, thank you.
So we'll come back to the appropriate agenda item, then. We'll come back to projects and things. So we're on to agenda item number 9. And this. I also just, I mean, in the agenda, it's about coverage of the Belleville meetings. There also are a couple documents in the packet related to Belleville and one related to Oregon. Starting on page 42, I don't say.
Yeah, starting on page 42, and I will say that my task of reaching out to have a representative was not complete, so I will get on that next one. So
From residents in that area.
So Tim,
Okay.
the Belleville Fire and EMS have quarterly meetings, is that? And they happen to fall on the same night as our board meetings. So we have maybe 13, 20 residents that are actually serviced by the Belleville School or Belleville Fire Station. And,
A little bit more. I
okay,
think it's more like about 60 people, 30 homes,
there, okay.
something like that.
So we were going to reach out to them and see if one of them would want to be, a representative from the town, yes,
Sure.
to attend those meetings, since you guys are here that night.
So I'm still the official representative, but when we changed this meeting. A year and a half or a year ago, let's say, I mean, it was, when we changed to a different Tuesday of the month, and so it conflicts with the Belleville meetings each quarter. But it's difficult we couldn't figure out a way to do it where here's a discussion about it, there was no great way to either reschedule our meetings because of other meetings that are already scheduled throughout the month, or to expect somebody from the board to not attend the board meeting, but to attend the Belleville meeting. So what Jennifer was describing, we're trying to find somebody who's very, very local in that district, who would like to be the a go-between between the board and the fire district, fire and EMS district.
Got it.
So my job was to send a letter.
Oh, yes.
I just.
To those households that are
Yeah,
serviced by,
and ask them if anyone was interested.
Got
So
it. Okay.
I failed.
Okay. So we'll just table that and put it on the next agenda.
Yeah. Let me mention 2 other things about Belleville, since they're in the packet. One, on page 42, there's an open house, the 21st, is that's coming up? Yep. And then, Belleville, the EMS folks provided a maintenance of effort certification that you can see on page 43, which is cool and everything, except in section 4, where they're, and I'll explain this in a second. In section 4, the either fire or EMS teams are supposed to meet 2 requirements within that, within the certification factors. They're only checking off 1. So I've got an email out to the chief asking about why just 1. The reason it matters to us is because it can affect our funding. We might be penalized if they don't meet the certification. This is brand new. There's a lot of talk at the Wisconsin Towns Association level about, okay, how do you navigate this? This is really new. How do you on the either the EMS or the fire department level have to meet these requirements, and it really, not that it came out of the blue, I mean, it's been known for a while. But this is the first reporting. As far as I know, this is the first reporting that's been done. And the municipalities are on the line if either a fire or EMS doesn't report that they've met 2 out of the 4 requirements. So I'll fill out everybody in next month, whenever I hear from the chief there.
Great. And if they're anticipating one of these next time. Yeah, they'll be in certification. We won't have to have this discussion again.
We'll still get reports periodically. I don't know if it's annual or I'm not sure how frequently it is actually. But it should be periodic reporting. I just don't know what the periods are. Steve, you can say something? No, I may have to say something now though, because there's the next thing in here is the Oregon area, fire and EMS.
Can I just say one thing? So I've gotten this, so I have to do something with this in turn. I have to report to the Department of Revenue. And I have gotten it from Belleville and Oregon, but I'm missing Brooklyn, and I don't know if one of you two are going to the Brooklyn meeting.
Tomorrow night.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you
No.
ask, okay, can you ask where they are on their
On this
MOE? Yep,
15th.
I think so, yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
get fire?
Yeah.
Did you get fire from Belleville or just this EMS one that we got?
I think there's just one form. I think I just got one form from Oregon as well.
Is Belleville, do they have to sign, do both the EMS and the fire have to do separate? 'Cause I think Brooklyn, I think they have to have separate, and I think, depends on municipality, I think,
I mean, the title on this form is MOE certification for an EMS. So at least there's gotta be a fire version. I mean, I think it's at the functional level. I don't know that it's necessarily.
there's some, I think the village has just one report, and then I think,
Okay,
I'll find, I think Brooklyn has, there's separate reports from EMS and report
Okay.
from fire, and they're not exactly sure, but, you know, like I sort of know what the 2 parameters are that they're being measured on. But it's kind of strange the way as far as I understand that they measure it, and they measure it on growth of personnel, the number, increased units of hours or calls, and it sounds, you know, we talked about this, sounds like being penalized for being efficient on your number of hours, their minutes that it gets to it's
I don't know
it's a
about
little
that.
fun.
I mean, in this page, on page 43, it shows you in that the certificate details, one of them is budget related, which I'm surprised that they didn't check off, because I don't think the budget dropped for Belleville's EMS. But maybe he just didn't check that off and should have, but then it's employment hours and its level of training and then its response times. So they're all valid measures of performance.
I know that at least in Brooklyn, 2 months ago, they weren't really sure how they were measuring that.
Right, that's.
That's how exactly.
Yep.
What are they being penalized for being more efficient? Those are questions that we're still hanging, and they called off the meeting last month, so I don't know. I haven't heard.
So if,
I will talk to them tomorrow maybe about this.
if we get a couple weeks down and we still don't have everybody's forms back, and we'll probably need to contact each representative will need to contact that district and say, hey, where's your form? Yeah, we see forms.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going for tomorrow. Anything, okay, so Oregon. Oh, let me, I jumped past it. Okay. So after the Belleville stuff on page 44 is the labor agreement for Oregon, and it runs for a number of pages. Is there, somewhere it needs, I think it needs my signature, Jennifer's signature. Board signature.
no,
It's page 69. 68, yeah, 69, 68. Or 71, I'm sorry.
71. Um. Is there a short version of this that we can?
A lot of the discussion, at the most recent, fire EMS for Oregon, dealt with capital improvements, coming up project. One thing is, something that is, they're starting talks with is a keeping the fire department where it is and expanding into taking over the old village hall or relocating it, and that's, depends on who you talk to, depends on where they want it. So this is a conversation that the village, between the village and the fire department are going to have. What they're doing now is coming up with a questionnaire for all the residents. As far as needs and preferences and where it should be.
Before you go on, Anthony, can we go back to the document that's in the packet, which is the agreement with the union?
Oh, I'm sorry, where's that?
So page,
So,
45 through 71.
Through
oh, there it is.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
have,
and then you-
yes, they have a common agreement with the union.
I'm assuming the agreement is in place, we just need to approve our portion of it. And.
Do we have any choice in the matter?
Exactly, I don't think we do.
Yeah.
Well,
I
they've had,
don't think so, right?
they've had, they talked about, trying to catch up with, salaries for personnel. And they have agreed, I don't know how to have the numbers offhand for look through here.
That's in the end,
Yeah.
page 73.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
The percentage.
percentage increases.
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
think we have any, I think it's for our edification only.
Yeah.
We don't have any decision-making power
Right,
around it. and-
I still need to approve it. So,
so
I would be looking for a motion to approve the labor agreement between the Oregon Area Fire EMS District and firefighters local 311.
I'm gonna just say it's
Is
not
that right?
technically on the agenda.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
that-
is
I'm
that,
just gonna say, and that you and I already signed it.
Oh,
yeah, that's not. for-
So it's just for review.
It's
Yeah.
just.
all right, well, never mind, everything is in.
It's just you
That's
that-
right.
It had kind of a circling back. It's been reported several times during meetings because this is the agreement negotiation was actually taking place in Madison. Because that firefighters local union is actually like a Madison based. So I think that negotiation was not really,
Okay,
it was taking place even at higher levels besides the district. Talking about it. I
okay,
think
so it's
that-
information on
More than FYI, I think, yeah,
it, okay. Sorry for the misdirection.
not like really, yes. Unfortunately, it's.
How, yeah, how do they allocate costs to us?
It's based on, I can show you, I'll show you, it's like based
Just-
on your, it's not really, it's like kind of population, but it's equalized values in there as well, so they try to make it as fair as possible, because, you know.
So a little
equalized
like
value.
assess the school district.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly, all based on that equalized value, how much
Okay.
your work,
Got it. Just curious.
yeah.
Steve, anything else from Oregon? I'll cut you off this.
That's okay, no, I should read this. This is, did you get, probably got this. It was a letter from Chief Liz Meyer to all of the Oregon area.
What page is that?
District partners, that you have I have this one.
Yeah, that was not in the.
No,
I can read this. This is very brief too. It says, I'm taking the opportunity to provide an update to the 2027 capital improvement project as relates to the future of the fire station. It's been some time since we met as a group and there are some updates to share. Additionally, my goal is to keep this project moving forward with all of our partners to keep communication transparent and continue the task moving ahead with purpose. Since we last met, I've had various communications with community partners and have hosted tours of the station with many individuals. I've been receiving valuable input from those that I have met with and hope to continue these conversations. One of the last steps that I feel is important is sending a survey out to the district residences and business owners to gain their input on how they view the current fire station and what they feel is needed as we head into the future. My goal is to obtain our community's thoughts as we move this project forward. As the fire station should be a focal point of the community, we should take the opportunity to seek the community support in this project. Parallel to this, the Village of Oregon is currently doing a study of the future plans of the downtown area. I feel this is the perfect time to provide community feedback as it relates to emergency services. There are a number of questions that are proposed to go out on a survey. One thing we did question was, the questions are very good. But one of the things that we're kind of assigned to doing right now is rewriting them because, you know anything about survey questions, one thing that you need to try to get rid of is biasness. And they're from one person's opinion and they're written and very biased. I'm not saying that negatively. But so all of us on the commission are rewriting them and resubmit them. And we'll choose from those and make sure that they have all the W's in there and not all the I feel parts. So. Good.
So when they ask, do you want the new fire station downtown or near the library? That might be a bias.
Yes, for example, well, since you said that, should the fire EMS station remain centrally located in the current downtown location? Well, that's right away, that's loaded with bias. Should it remain centrally located? Well, of course you know, but so our job is to take that and either I've gone through, I'm not totally done yet, but I've totally gotten rid of some questions thinking, you know, I couldn't figure out any way to make it sound anything like a biased question. And I'm trying to combine questions and use some of the knowledge I have from some of the surveys I've done with state testing agencies. It's I mean, I think this is the right step to get that input and stay tuned moving forward.
All you can do is ask.
Yeah, for the next meeting, then we'll know more by the first Tuesday in June.
Sounds good. And did you say going to Brooklyn? Did you say Brooklyn did not meet last month? Brooklyn did
They
not?
did
meet?
not, they called it off last month and
And
they
it's-
looked for a time and we've now, it's good, it's,
Tomorrow.
so and there was a member who said, well, we really have nothing on the agenda that really changes things, so we are meeting tomorrow. It's going to be a half an hour early, 6 o'clock, because Chief Mason has, his daughter has some award she's getting, and there's another commission member whose son is doing something with science school, so.
Okay, super. Any other fire EMS comments? All right, let's move on to the parks report, park committee.
I can, if you don't mind, I can talk about what I
Impact
learned
fees?
from the hiring of consultant.
Sure.
So, so on page 76, you'll see there's an email between Brian Standing, and Brian Standing is the zoning planner at Dane County who helped us with our comprehensive plan. We were looking at Carpsy to help us with our park plan. Carpsy could not help us with that impact fee portion if we wanted to charge impact fees. They have hired a new person, Bridget Van Veldham, and he has confirmed that she could help us with developing the appropriate impact fees. So that would lead us to the question, we had talked about having to go out and find a consultant for that. and now we might be able to meet with her.
Do they charge us for that then?
They would have a contract, so we would, at some time negotiate a contract for what we wanted. So on page 78, that's the town ordinance. And if you go down to B, where it says number of dwelling units. So, if you go to, basically the end of the 1, 2, 3, 4th line, the land dedication or fee in lieu of land shall be based upon the minimum joint. So that is where in our ordinance, we charge this impact fee. It's a fee in lieu of donating land. Okay, so on page 80 is the attorney's opinion on the impact fees and what we need to do to charge those impact fees legally.
And that requires a third-party consultant to help us through.
Exactly. So I guess where we're at is, we had talked about trying to find a consultant to help us with this. Or would you guys like to see if Bridget from the county could come assist and she could attend a meeting?
I think learning more about what Bridget can do for us would be great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if she can gather from Cottage Grove and other similar communities easily, because she's a central source, I think that would get us an efficient process. We don't have to recreate the wheel.
So that would lead us to, you've had 2 meetings with your new group, your new park committee. Would you like Bridget to come in as a joint meeting and have the park committee members there, or would you like Bridget to come in and talk to the board? And
Would
you
be
want to
nice.
just,
It'd be nice if it could be a joint meeting.
okay,
Committee and the board.
Yes, our park committee is outside of Gloria, and Jeff is relatively new. We actually started our project yesterday with walk-arounds. We started, did 2 of the parks yesterday and walked through and just with our eyeballs, and I asked Ryan to go out also because he had some ideas he wanted to share about Kennedy Park and the Moyne and some difficulty Moyne, some of the things. So that part we've started, and that's where we are right now. We are fortunate to have some, unfortunate as hell to have Steve around for so long. We were also fortunate now to have some real experts on there that as far as knowledge of invasive species and birds. I mean, my God, Diane is a boatload of knowledge. And along with the rest of them, and they all bring a lot of knowledge to this part of it. So right now it's just what are the needs, and then we have to sit down at some point, prioritize them, and yes, we'll deal with Bridget, I think it should be very important to have.
Yeah, if she can just come and map out what the process looks like.
Rather than doubling up, rather than
That'd be
doubling the
great.
process.
so do you want to maybe, would you like to talk about scheduling at a later meeting after he's had a few meetings with the group? Would you like to do that?
I think to push it back though,
Yeah, when would you like to?
I don't think it has to be tomorrow,
Okay,
but I think it could be in June.
okay, so I'll add it to the agenda for possibly setting a joint meeting date. And then,
Unless you think it's maybe just an agenda item on the board meeting and the park committee is invited. I mean, still want everybody to be there. Let's maybe try that because.
how about if I add it to the agenda for June and you guys can have some time to think about it and then
see
come
what
back and
people's
then decide?
It's more, I think it's more about what people's schedules are like.
Sure,
And if she's gonna be here, I think we should just build her expectations. We're looking for, what does your process look like?
Right.
And what does the budget range look like? And what does your timing look like for that process?
Yeah, and I think Brian's standing, do they work together or are they just within the same?
so and perhaps what we could do to make this, so within that I didn't want to touch on that, but within that email, which if you read, you might have caught on. When we updated our comprehensive plan, there were properties in farmland preservation. Our farmland preservation mapping area became too large and we were getting out of compliance, so they had to. And so these lands don't get those tax credits, but we need to zone them out. It's gonna be a blanket rezone. The county will help us with all that, but Brian is going to attend the next plan commission meeting, which I would like, all of you guys to at least watch it after, and then that will kind of go through the process. So maybe we could have Bridget come to a meeting with Brian maybe in June or July. And then if you,
I think that time is. okay.
okay,
I just I don't wanna sit on anything park committee related, because we could use all these actions, we could use all this information from either Bridget or the committee or whatever. I would hate to say, oh, just hold off 2 months or 3 months, but it's a tough time to schedule meetings, so I think too, once we get summertime.
and so would you want me to, Bridget, I can ask her to come any day. I can ask her to come to the June meeting to present like kind of what Tim said, like just kind of a hey, here's how it goes. And, or I can wait and have her come like maybe in July.
Let's have her try June, and then if we wanna continue talking with Bridget, and maybe we pull Brian in that too. Brian's thing.
Okay, so I will get back to Bridget and have her attend the June town board meeting to
Yeah.
lay out the process.
And just for everybody's information, the park committees will be meeting the last Wednesdays
Oh,
of the month, so we'll
Okay.
be meeting, May 29th and June 26th.
Okay,
what time are you guys meeting at?
6 o'clock.
So we can have something early in the agenda. With,
Yeah.
On that, invite parks.
And perhaps what and perhaps if you like it, she might be able to come in to the June 26th meeting as well. Talk to the committee as well.
June 26th.
No,
that's
no, yeah, no. Don't put June 26th down on your calendar.
not for you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else park committee and parks related? Okay. Item 11 is a torque report. Laura?
I hope we can get this sorted very quickly. There was this discussion of OSHA requirements for hand washing. And Jennifer looked into, getting, would cost us an extra $100 a month for Buckley's to put a 2-station sink in the porta potty. And the guys down at the Torque, they're very, kind of survivalists about how they do things, but they still think that they'd be happy with getting one of those standalone units like you have on page 86 of your packet. They wouldn't mind bringing water in to fill that. So you don't have running water down there, that's the whole problem. And they think you purchase that, it's a one-time purchase, it'll sit in the office area. And so there would be a way, like this is a 2-unit one, and there's probably I guess unless there was some catastrophe where more than one person needed to immediately be hosing himself down.
Well, this would be the Bucky's one
Yeah.
that I looked into, that was $200 a month.
Yeah, and it's
And they
only,
maintain it.
and
And they
it
maintain it.
isn't available year round.
Seasonal.
It's seasonal. And that's what's bothering the guys, because they want to be very cost effective with what they do. So the argument is get the standalone thing, you could keep it in the, I think, and move it around, so that you could keep it outdoors in the summer if you
Make some
wanted.
room.
And then in the winter, when they're working fewer hours anyway, it could be kept in the office, but because it does have heat. So that's all I have to say about that, and I guess it's up to the discussion. I know that OSHA, it's important to satisfy OSHA requirements, it's not that. But since we have no running water down there, we're kind of limited in options, you know, that are cost effective. Anyway, that's all I have to report. There's a little, they're still keeping records of how many people are using the service every weekend, and that's on page 80, whatever page.
79.
79.
So to rent it from Bucky once again is how? is how much?
200 a month,
100.
on top of what we already pay them, which is 135, is it?
150.
150 just to have that thing standing down there, an extra 200 to add the hand washing piece. And the guys really, you know, I had a picture last summer of Sheldon washing his hands in a mud puddle. So, you know, they really are kind of rough and ready people. They
Yeah.
really,
But OSHA's not.
So
Yeah.
that's opposed to the one-time $379 purchase
yeah,
for.
that's what the argument is. They wanted me to take that up again, as present that.
And I go a slightly different direction and I almost a tangent, but
Yeah.
how much does it cost to dig a well?
To what?
To
put a
dig a well
in,
and plumb it,
$5,000,
oh my God.
Probably,
16, 15, 10, something.
I'd say 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
we got a bake sale.
Big so,
No, for the use that's out there having,
I know.
yeah, yeah.
So we need a motion for that?
I don't know if we do, whichever one we want to purchase or whatever route we want to go. And I know Jennifer's put a lot of thought and work into this. She really has, because she really cares about the guys. And she worries about it. And so she did pursue looking into adding that 200, but that'd be from what, just the warm months would be an extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$2,000 probably.
so the
A year.
And then sometimes the service of the porta potty is not always. I
Ideal.
think what we were originally thinking was there were some gray water issues, or what were they gonna do with water?
They talked about that, yeah, yeah.
So I think the idea was that $200 was that Bucky's was taking away all that wastewater and
But
bringing
for that
water in.
matter, I wonder if we couldn't put the wastewater in the porta potties, because you know, they're not, you know.
Yeah.
They're not,
Great idea.
you know, like there are 2 people down there using it once or twice. You know, it doesn't get full very fast.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that if, as long as that meets DNR and everybody else's regulations for gray water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a great solution. As
There's
long as the guys feel comfortable.
okay, so
some shipping costs on that.
Yeah.
Just so if we're gonna make a motion, please don't make it for $379.99.
No,
I don't know what shipping.
Well, I think this, the 16-gallon one station one is probably cheaper than the 2. Oh, wait, I guess this picture is it's just lining them up. That's for one. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at.
you may have residents using it too, so. maybe
Yes,
two
that is
instead of-
true. That is
No,
true.
I don't know that. But can I? just-
Arlen had something, right?
well, I was,
Oh,
just a question here. This is a one-time cost for the lavatory,
Mhm.
and we have an ongoing cost for the porta potty.
Of 150 a month.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, just,
And can I piggyback off of that? The standalone, not Bucky's, is still within OSHA guidelines or not?
So if I have in here, okay, so we talk OSHA, which we're not really regulated by OSHA on page 91. It is. We have to have a source of portable water for hand washing. It's required. We had out there hand sanitizer, and that is not an acceptable alternative. And so, and there has to be, some tempered water. So I think with a combination of having some drinking water bottles out there with.
They're gonna
with
do
the-
that. They can
Yeah.
put them in the refrigerator.
Right.
Yeah.
Between that and then some type of a hand washing station, we would meet what we're required to, basically the Wisconsin Safety and Health.
Mhm.
That's
And the water just has to be tepid, not hot or cold, just as long as it's not ice cold.
Just wet.
Yeah, wet and not too cold.
And not in a stagnant puddle.
Yeah, and that's why if it's inside the office, it would be at, room temperature,
Sure.
yeah.
So I think if this is within the torque funds in the budget, whatever there are for torque funds. Well, let me ask you this question. Does this fit more in with the procedure of, it's in the budget, we want to do it. Here, board, it's informational that we bought this.
Well, guess what? We could look back on what I,
Oh,
let's see what we've spent out of the solid waste expenses
all right.
budget line item. It would be on,
400.
page 19. Page 19, page 19. You go to page 19. And at the very top, there's gonna be public works. Okay, we're gonna go to the solid waste, which is the second from last in that column, where it says solid waste expenses.
Yep.
Okay, so we have 141,000, we've spent 60. We also have a garbage and recycling expense of 14,000. But we've spent 24,000, so I'm not like quite sure we've gone over on that, but sometimes those expenses can kind of be interchangeable depending on, so we have money in the budget,
I mean, it would almost be easier just to approve it tonight. But I don't think we would need, based on whatever that procedure was before, we really wouldn't need to. It could have been like the torque decision to say, hey, there's money, that double sign off, right? Their decision to say, yes, we need to get this thing, it's in the budget, we bought it, board informational. But that didn't happen, so let's just approve it tonight. Jennifer, were you gonna say something on top of that?
I think that sounds great.
Okay.
So I move to approve. Can we do that? Do we need to?
Let's, yeah.
So I move to approve purchase of a standalone
The double or the
single.
single?
Single mobile hand wash station.
Okay, need a second?
I'll second.
Steve seconds. Any discussion?
Up to a dollar amount of $500. In case they're shipping, right?
Yeah, thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you. Going through around page 92. For the plan commission. And this is good, this I think, this is the Jerry Jensen has come back because there was a correction.
Jerry's on the line with
Yeah.
us.
Oh, sorry, oh.
Yeah, Jerry, I'm so
no.
sorry. Oh,
That's on.
can you hear us, Jerry?
That's on mute, there you go.
You bet.
We're
He's-
muted
He's,
on our end.
he's muted by one side or the
I
other.
don't think we're muted because.
No.
Not muted. He's muted. Can you
That's-
unmute, Jerry?
That's on mute there.
Oh, here we go. I heard
Oh,
you
yeah.
earlier.
There, okay, can you hear me now?
Jerry.
So when the meeting's going, we have documents up on the screen so we can see the people attending. Really. About that. We'll get it going now. My understanding is correction, Harlan.
I am trying to, we have approved so many things so many times. I'm trying to.
Give us a little lowdown on what you did with the CSM, what caused the correction.
Before you do, so Roger Lane, Dan Everson, I think that's it. Corrections. So the copy is on.
Correction, I guess the appreciating part of the correction, yes. This.
One of the lots was south of Town Park Road. It was supposed to be north. Isn't that right, Jerry?
I'm having trouble hearing you all. It was fine until you unmuted me and then something happened. I'm getting every other word. Are you getting me succinctly or?
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Was it just a matter of correction of? So there was a lot that was shown south of the town park when it should have been north. That's the only correction.
right, there was really a miscommunication between the surveyor and myself. He thought that I wanted to combine the lots south of Town Road, Town Park Road, which was not right, not accurate. The lands south of Town Park Road are fine. It was just moving reconfiguring the two lots at the top of the hill by Windridge that I was interested in. Actually, Roger Lane caught the mistake and pointed it out to Chris Crozen at Burncott, and they revamped the certified survey map to be as it is now, or as it is before you. I just as an aside, I want to, oh, I did something here.
Oh, gee.
Click on that, click on that. There we go. Okay, we're back.
Been any intent to change the use? But this will be a technical correction.
Yeah, so it really doesn't change anything except the numbers. The old map showed lot 4 now becomes lot 3 becomes lot 2, and lot 2 becomes lot 1.
Without pointing to the map itself, not quite sure which lots we're talking about. We have on page 92 of our agenda.
Yeah, and page 92 for the updated map and page 97.
This one.
The previous one, yes. So you want to put 90 to 97 together.
It's in the top left corner. It's lot 3 and lot 4 on page 97. That is now become lot 2 and lot 3.
This is page 92 is the proposed, is it corrected?
Yeah.
Boundaries, the survey hasn't changed, it's just the description. Lots have been updated.
So there are all the 3 parcels that are above Town Park Road. Lot 1, 2, 3, lot. Lots that have been approved today.
Let me just, share.
Yes,
Arlen, let me just reinforce that, so it's run past the council already, so that Jennifer has. Seen a cost certificate, out of the CSM. Data, Peterson says we don't. Roger Lane says that the CSM matches the zoning that was done by the member. Because CSM should be something. Fine. So as far as I know, this is already here, but it's still part. Oh, this is just correct. So this is moved. Odds. Sorry.
Sorry, interjected, the audio is really bad.
well, I don't think your audio is really bad. I'm not hearing,
Anything.
just disjointed words.
I'm gonna mute you for a minute, Jerry. Do you have anything more to add? And then I'm gonna unmute you, okay?
That's muted.
He's still muting himself.
Right there. Hit that.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I was going to say congratulations to Tim. Good to have him on board. And I will make myself available to Tim and anybody else to do a site visit if he so desires.
Thanks so much, Jerry. I appreciate that. I will likely take you up on that.
Absolutely. You just name the time.
All right, very good. I will reach out to you.
Okay, thank you. Now I heard Tim very clearly that time.
Okay, if there, does this require a motion?
Let's do it. Just
Okay, so if, I would make a motion that we accept the technical revisions of lot identification as shown on page 92 of the packet, as opposed to a corrected version, which is on 7 of the packet.
Second that.
Scott.
Aye.
Passes. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jerry.
We'll be seeing you.
I'm trying to get a sense of how long we might be going. Maybe in 15 minutes or so, maybe around 8, we take a short recess.
Sure.
That's okay with everybody. Okay, so we're on to number 13, Road and Traffic Safety Committee. And that starts around page 100.
And then something I didn't put in your 200 page is this colorful map. So I thought the colorful map will help you identify the roads that are being referred to by the village. So South Perry Parkway and Union. Then there's a third page. Okay, so just.
Okay.
Well, the first one here, Arlen, is the cost sharing agreement.
The cross sharing agreement. Have the village is doing their major work. Their financing, or the way they finance this is that they, every 3 years, they pull together a specific capital improvement loan. And then they spend that amount, which is 950,000 for the 3 years. And the way they're working it is that this year, 24, summer 24, they will be doing major work, which is including pulverizing and relaying the asphalt. They're doing South Perry Parkway. They're doing new, and you have other roads that they're doing as well. We own that segment of South Perry Parkway from Union Road to the other side of the railroad tracks. That's ours, 100% of it. Yay. The Union Road, we have from South Prairie Parkway to Lincoln Road, we have the easterly half of the right of way, not half of what's out there. The village has the parking lane, their half of the roadway, and our half of the roadway. So there's, if you count 11 feet, 11 feet,
Got it.
9, just
Parking
that many
space.
lanes.
Yeah.
We have, so, because they're having that, and because this work is now, or they do everything in South Prairie Parkway and then they do nothing for that 150 feet.
Yeah.
It's in poor shape. Now's the time to do it. They have their crew. Same thing with our half of Union Road, that they're going to take Union Road to Lincoln. And I have negotiated a point that they do the work this year. And we reimburse them in 2025. So as long as we are in this location, we will have that half of Union Road until we become part of the village or move. So that's there. So they have come in with budget bids that are less than what was budgeted by their engineers. So they had a 11,000 request and they came in. What do I have?
102.
They have a number of oh, come on now. The number was in here. It's about
5 A to B.
8,250
there we go.
plus the
Well,
union.
5A and B. 5A
Yep.
and B is Echo Valley.
What page are you on?
On page 102.
Page 102.
Oh, here we go.
So many pages.
Here we go. Jennifer, we're gonna get even with you for 200 pages of packet. And so they had a one. Here we go, 102. 8,215, we had tentatively approved 11,000 as
The cap.
a cap.
Okay, may I ask you a question about that? Because in the agenda, we're showing that the town, that we voted to cover Union Road up to 11,000. And in this document showing A is for South Prairie Parkway for the 8,200 and change.
That would be my error because we didn't approve,
So
we never approved Union, we approved you approved
Okay,
South Prairie
South
Parkway.
Prairie,
That would be my error. I should look at my agenda. I meant to be clear that you had previously approved,
Okay,
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. The town voted on 312 to cover South Curry Parkway up to 11,000. That is my error. I'm sorry about
It
that.
is, so it's up to 11,000,
Yeah.
that's a cap.
okay, so-
And they're holding to this. And because of the budgeting, we will not have to pay until 2025. Since we do not have it in our budget or in our schedule. The same goes for Union Road.
So we'll want to remember this and talk about it in the fall, talk about 2025 budgets. It's gonna be.
Yeah, well, I'd say this whole summer, we've got,
This will
Well-
probably go into your financing.
Oh,
package.
we could do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if it went into our financing package, you know, don't we have to spend it this year?
No,
well,
No.
We don't.
It's,
no, we have agreed that it's 2025, but there's gonna be other work in 2025. So there's, as the summer goes on, we're gonna be making, Road and Safety Committee will be making recommendations as to what the 25 budget's gonna be.
Okay.
So this is gonna be just part of that, so whether we start looking to 2025 expenses as part of the financing package.
So it wouldn't go in the financing package that we talked about earlier in the agenda. It would go into that financing package for 2025.
we're really simple here. That 2020, we're talking about the 2025
Okay.
financing package,
Okay.
because the
Right.
way that we're going to borrow. You know a little bit about the board public lands. We're gonna take this loan out after September 1st. It's gonna replace the loan, and what that does is it will give us the funds, but we won't actually make our first payment for like a year and a half. That's the way that
Sure.
they structure it. So when we borrow, and I was gonna explain this later, we'll want to be doing sort of what Arlen was saying. We'll want to be creating a finance package that's gonna include 2025. We might include some expenses from 2024 as well.
Okay, got it. Thank you for the clarification.
And we're not encumbered by the loan purpose is wide open with that type of financing, right?
You have to be specific while you're borrowing a loan, though. You do have to tell them, but you don't
What it's
have to
for.
say, yeah, you have to tell them if it's for equipment or if it's for roads. But
But
you're
not-
not giving them specific dollar amounts. You
Or,
just have to tell
or
them what the
road
purpose
names
is.
or anything.
No,
Right. It's
no,
not-
no,
It's not
no,
that,
no.
it's not that specific.
No,
Okay.
it's not detailed, but it's,
And I believe it's been our intent to be having this be capital projects.
yeah, but we wouldn't borrow for, we don't have to borrow for operating expenses. Thank goodness.
So Arlen, do we need to take any action on this work?
So I did not have, I want to just like to add that we sometimes will have our lawyer review contracts before the board recommends approval. The lawyer has not reviewed this contract. So you're gonna want to decide as a board if you want the attorney to review this. I would just add that one of the things we talked about was, so we don't know what that annexation will look like, but we do know that we're going to a meeting on Monday about annexation. So on your little map page in here, the last page, page 3, that's green. The annexation that the village is talking about is going to be on the corner of Lincoln and Union there. That's where that annexation, so the village has a developer interested in annexing that land for houses.
So,
Do they have a connect, if they've got Union Road in between them? Do they have a connection across Union Road to the village, or that? Is that triangular parcel with a dot in there, is that already in the village?
Oh, I'm sorry, if you're looking at this green little square here, don't look at that. You're gonna look at what connects to Lincoln, so they would take everything from Lincoln down. They can't create an island,
I know,
yeah, so they're gonna take everything from Lincoln down.
along Union Road, so that includes the residential property that's on the
I
corner?
believe, Ray came in, stopped in one day, I believe he was selling, so I would assume that would be part of it, but we haven't gone to the meeting, so I'm just making assumptions.
Okay.
We don't
We
know.
don't have any information. I mean,
So we're very curious as to what it is. They cannot create an island. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
No islands allowed.
no islands allowed. So it would be that thing. So I guess the question that we would be going to with the attorney is, okay, when you are doing a new subdivision, you're bringing in heavy pieces of equipment. It causes damage to roads. So, you know, we're talking about redoing we're talking about us paying for Union Road, and the concern might be is where will trucks be coming in at? Typically, we want trucks to run off of county highways to get
Yeah.
here. You know, kind of when they're doing this, the way it looks is it's, depending on how this works out, they're gonna be probably driving on some portion of town roads at some, getting those. Cause either they come up A and go up Union, or they'd be going D to Lincoln.
Right.
And I can tell you from when they were doing the Peterson subdivision, we couldn't keep them off of Netherwood. We couldn't keep the big heavy trucks off. I mean, and you can't have someone parked there 24/7, you know? And you get a lot of resident complaints because sometimes it can get quite intense to have all those big trucks. So
So-
just something to consider. You might just want to consider that, but we don't know yet.
So Mike, are you tying this to the agreement document then?
I was just kind of putting it out there that we don't know, so that's the hard part.
Right, it might not happen.
I don't know.
But I mean, I would just put it more bluntly than that. Why should we pay for this if that's going to happen? Why would we pay for that road? I mean, if we pay them that amount of money and then the development goes through, will they pay us back for what we did to upgrade that road?
I
Just
mean,
wondering, it's
we're
very,
paying, right, where this year we're paying for that wedging on Netherwood,
yeah,
which, you know, the road probably got damaged
Yeah.
during some of that Peterson construction, so it's just something food for thought.
Okay, I don't think it can be, quite frankly, I don't think we can predicate on something that hasn't happened yet.
that's
Right.
true.
You're exactly right, and I don't know when it would happen. We
And
don't
wouldn't
know,
the-
'cause we haven't
wouldn't the-
watched the meeting yet.
Wouldn't the negotiating point be that we would say, okay, access has to be on Lincoln Road then?
Or
Lincoln
access,
Road
access has to be from A to.
or south,
Yes.
or south coming up.
And we probably, once you do it, we would probably, when Bergamot went in, they did a negotiation for Lincoln. I would assume you're gonna try to do A and negotiate something at that time for Union coming up from A.
Right.
Yes. That would be, I think some of the conditions, if we can be, if they're going to be taking the land, that's gonna have an impact on our roads. Yes, want to having something, an understanding as to how to repair that damage.
And the MPO, the Madison, you know, this part of Union is in that Madison metropolitan area. Not all of the town is in it, but
North of Lincoln.
this portion of Union down a little ways is. It just has an impact because they kind of regulate roads within their mapping area,
Okay,
a little bit with
so
funding and stuff.
what are the things, we're meeting with them on Monday.
Yeah.
And Monday afternoon. And at that meeting, someone's going to be, what is their plan of connection? We see this one rectangle here off of Union Road. We don't know what else they're doing to be eliminating an island.
I think we
Not creating a tax island.
I would feel more comfortable waiting to push this approval ahead until we know what's going on Monday. I don't think we should be making that.
Condition of it, no.
Yeah, no,
I don't think so either.
yeah, I think we're 3 business days away.
I think we're good.
So they they should certainly understand that. The other thing is, I know you got a new member on the road and traffic safety. She's anxious to weigh in on this.
Who would that be?
Who would that be?
And has some very good working knowledge of
we're looking forward to that.
Yes, so. It'd be good to get her input for sure.
Okay, so right now,
I'd wait,
Yeah.
I'd wait on this, yeah.
All right, so we'll postpone this item,
no. Postpone, what,
the one that you're waiting on. What do you mean?
oh, that's,
Table the approval of the cost sharing
Not tabling. we're
of the,
postponing.
no, I'd say we have information that there's attempts to be annexing a parcel, but I don't think that affects the proposal at hand for South Prairie Parkway or Union Road work in cooperation with the village.
Well, except there,
So you would like to
Can't-
approve this cost sharing with, for Union and South Prairie Parkway?
Sorry?
You would like to approve the cost sharing with South Prairie Parkway? You want to approve the contract, the agreement? You want to approve
Yes.
that tonight?
I would like to approve that, but we do need to send it to the agreement to attorney.
Okay,
And can we not approve this pending satisfactory resolution of the, or acceptance of the contract?
so if the attorney says it's okay,
We
Then-
move forward.
then you, okay.
yeah,
I,
I think we should, if we want legal approval, well, two things. If we want legal review, we should do that first, I think. Before approving, because we would, there's no boundary to what the attorney might say.
Okay, if you want to do that, how can we put the spurs to this? See how fast they can do a turnaround. We need to be finding out from the village when the trucks are showing up.
Yeah.
Okay, weren't some of the comments to wait until after Monday's meeting about the annexation? We're in this discussion in the last 5 minutes. Did I understand something?
No,
I think there was
just to say, we need the information as to what it is they're planning on doing.
Okay, that's
And I don't think that,
Monday review.
and that we have concerns. And I don't think they're going to be resolved immediately either. But but as you say, we're just doing this work, don't want to tear it up. By their coming in with their new trucks. Of heavy trucks and heavy equipment.
yeah, I don't know why they would improve a road that is gonna get hammered.
Yeah.
With an annexation
Exactly,
now, because we'll be back 5 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever,
yeah,
redoing that road again.
Yeah.
And we're like, we were 3 days away from knowing whether or not they were gonna annex that property.
yeah.
Why did we decide to
Borrow
improve the
money.
road
Just so I'm
before
not,
all the work was getting done?
just so
That's
I'm,
all.
I think I'm understanding, just for me to make sure. The only section of Union Road that we're talking about sharing costs with Village is from north of Lincoln. North of
Right.
Lincoln up to Sun Valley Parkway.
Yes,
The chances of that being part of a heavy equipment route seem unlikely.
correct.
So,
Where are they gonna bring it in from?
Right.
From A?
and why would they ever
A or
go?
D.
Why would they ever do that? Right, so. So our concern about, I think our concern about heavy equipment on that section of Union is probably not.
I
An
would
issue.
disagree.
I
Where do you think it comes from?
I think they're gonna come
They're gonna
from,
come anyway
they're gonna come
they
from the
can.
belt line, and then they're gonna
They're
come up
gonna
South
come
Prairie
anyway.
Parkway. Yeah, and they're gonna come anyway. I can tell you from experience that that we work really hard, but these truck drivers have GPS, they have,
Right,
they have all sorts of things that.
And if they're coming off of the
Okay.
exit, and they're.
well,
And you know, and really, you know, Wisco's at the end of South Prairie Parkway, and that's a pretty wide road. It doesn't look like, you know, like you're driving on some tiny residential, you've got school buses and all sorts of things.
right.
I mean, certainly no one is gonna go down from South Prairie Parkway to Union. You could do that half by the railroad tracks, and nobody's gonna be on that side of it.
Right.
You know what I'm, but
What, here, we're speculating.
you are
We are,
absolutely.
yes, we
speculating.
are.
But I'm trying to understand.
Absolutely.
Because what-
And until we get some, and we can be expressing our concerns, how much of Lincoln Road are we responsible for? When does
Lincoln Road,
Lincoln,
so
So-
basically, right, when you see like, so Bergamot has, they're like,
their drive, their maintenance
exactly, their maintenance facility from that portion. And then if you, so from that portion to D would be ours, or that portion and then that section of fish hatchery till it turns
That's right.
over to
So
the highway.
we would have a concern there as well. If they're bringing in equipment that route to service this.
Yeah.
So I think we have concerns, concerns of when the schedule is. I do not think, I think it's pretty moot as far as concern on South Prairie Parkway and Union Road tearing up that. I just don't see that that's an opportune
Right.
direction for equipment, and if it is, we have some bozos that need to be.
Well,
So we have unknowns.
We have-
Granted,
yes,
we definitely have unknowns, but what I've heard, if I'm understanding, I've heard ask more questions of the village about logistics. I've heard that. I heard get an attorney's review of the agreement document. But then I also heard approval, a desire for approval of something tonight.
Of the Perry
Yes.
Parkway. Right,
Perry Parkway
But they're-
and Union Road.
but they
But they're in
those
the
are
agreement, though.
two pieces, it's, one bid was for Perry and one was for
Yeah,
Union.
it's one contract.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. There's one document in the back.
There's work-
This is one agreement document, which
Yeah.
includes
Yeah.
both projects, so I don't know how we approve it prior to reviewing it
Okay,
and prior to collecting more information to know whether we should approve it.
okay, I would. The road building season is upon us. And I appreciate that we do need to have this agreement looked at by the attorney. Say we approve this in concept. Have it reviewed by the attorney as soon as possible. I think also no later than Monday, if not before, we find out what the schedule is for the work. And we may have to call a special meeting to approve it. If after we hear from the attorney.
I would go, so I think it's a simple enough agreement that I'm not dead set. This is me personally. We'd have to all decide this, but I'm not dead set on having to have it reviewed by the attorney. But the open questions about whatever we would ask the village on Monday, that's an open question now.
That's another,
I don't think we can approve the agreement with them and say, oh, we're also gonna ask, in essence, say, oh, we're also gonna ask you questions on Monday that might affect whether we like this agreement.
I think they're not connected. And we should not connect them.
That's
If I
fine,
think
that's
we'd be
what I'm saying is we should not do, or we cannot do. If we're approving the agreement, we're approving the agreement.
Yes.
So, but I've also heard that maybe some of us don't want that to happen. Pending finding out more information.
Well, one wonders whether the annexation it seems to be happening in another universe than the planning for the road work. And I think Tim was making a point is, be nice to know if that was really going to happen. And even before all this, it's like, sharing the cost right now makes sense without somebody putting up how many houses there. And you're gonna have additional traffic of new residents, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of was going along with Tim's argument that can we just wait a little bit longer to find out what that annexation agreement might end up looking like before we commit to giving them this money that, they might.
I
That's
think,
all.
okay, I would find that is not acting in good faith. They're so separate. Yes, they're going to have an impact if and when that development happens, there will be an impact on all kinds of roads and streets.
Right.
But that, I don't think we can,
Is there a way we can have some kind of stipulation whereby, we're doing this in the assumption that I don't know, or that we could preload it with some stipulations if the annexation is approved and then we get more money back from them or something like that.
But-
You know, like, because then no longer would it be town of Oregon, really.
It will not be the town, that section will not be the town of Oregon. This is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, so if it's suddenly after we've paid for this, a year later, it's no longer town of Oregon, is that really a good use of town of Oregon money? Particularly money that we're.
Well, we're still liable for this, that section of road.
Or
Regardless of what happens with the annexation.
Are we really?
Yes,
Unless they annex this.
Right.
if they annex it, if they annex,
This.
if they
Yeah.
take
Well, they
that parcel on the corner,
They
if you take the parcel on the corner.
They can do whatever, they can annex.
No. Somebody has to ask the village, annex us.
Yeah,
The village cannot glom onto it. Likewise, we have. And that annexation will not change our responsibility for Union or South Prairie Parkway. That annexation has nothing to do with.
I know, and I know what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, anyway, I think we. kind of- All
Probably,
of
but
us
so
together.
can we think of it this, well, let me just throw this in the mix too. Our exposure in this contract is about $30,000. 8,200. Plus, well, it's the 29,000, but whatever, around $30,000. That's our exposure, our total exposure in this entire project. And we're dealing with a known partner. No, it's the village, it's not somebody else, and we have a great relationship with the village. And we have historically. I'm not sure that there's that much risk to this agreement. Even with informal discussions with the village about, hey, what are the impacts of future annexation gonna be? What are the impacts of heavy equipment gonna be? You know, I think that we can make them aware that we have concerns about that. They're not annexing tomorrow. There's not gonna be a development tomorrow. It'll be single digit number of years down the road. I don't know what. So we will have benefited from the life of that road maintenance for X number of years anyway, which decreases our exposure. So it's not 30 anymore because we're benefiting from the life of the maintenance. I don't think there's that much to worry about in approving this as is.
So I have a question under 4 for control. Would there be any reason that the town? It sounds like under number 4 that we would, if the work was shoddy or we didn't like the work, that we would basically be giving up any kind of. And I'm not saying that. I'm not an attorney, but would that be any concern for the board?
I would think it wouldn't just be the town's portion of this project, right? If there were concerns.
No, it's
to
just
the village-
pointing out that the town can't do anything. about it.
Right, and I read that more as about the project itself, the project scheduling, the project,
Or any work
Whatever.
performed, so
Yeah.
any work that's
Yeah,
performed.
if they're accepting the work, I think trying to keep. Other cooks out of the mix, and I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
It's in their best interest to have a good road.
any other discussion on this? Because I'm gonna either make a motion or ask for a motion. You want to go ahead?
You know, make, from the Road and Safety Committee, like, move that we accept the village's offer for the work on Union Road and South Prairie Parkway.
Okay, can I just ask you to maybe rephrase that motion that you are approving the road improvement cautioning agreement for South Prairie Parkway and Union? Could you just
Yeah, just the title.
motion to reflect the title
Very
of the agreement, please? Thank you.
Let's see, that's starting on page
101.
101. To approve the road improvement cost sharing agreement, South Prairie Parkway and Union Road with the Village of Oregon.
Okay, do you hear a second? I'll second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, let's do a roll call vote, Jennifer, if we can.
Sure. Carl Walzer,
Yes.
Lori Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Arlen Pat,
Yes.
Steve Jernigan,
No.
and Tim LeBrun.
No.
Motion passes. Okay, let's, if everyone is good with it, let's take a recess until about 8:15, just about 10 minutes or so. Resume.
Sharon, what's new with you?
Not a darn thing.
Hey.
Nope. Same old, same old.
Yeah.
You know, like it's always been.
Uh-huh.
How about with you?
Our kids are spread around the country, so we get something new every day, it
Well,
seems.
I can understand that. Wait until you get some grandkids, or maybe you have.
Yeah, we have one.
Yeah?
Yes, yeah. So I found out today that we're going to Vermont for the weekend, for Memorial Day weekend to see our grandson.
Oh.
So
And how old?
he is 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have a pact between their little family and my wife and I that we see him every month.
Oh,
So whether they come here or we go there or we meet someplace in between, we try to
That
see him
keeps you-
every,
busy.
yeah, it does. So we were there for the eclipse at the beginning of both of them. The beginning of April. That was the last time we were there. So,
Well, you won't be able to do that. Well, maybe you will. But if you end up having 11 grandkids like we do.
oh
you
my
won't have
gosh,
that.
I hope we have that many.
Well, yes, but to see them
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
all the time,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to what we don't even know yet.
right? Yeah.
I am. I'm looking forward to the surprise.
Oh, that's great. I'm
Yeah.
happy for you.
Yeah, thank you. Are most of your 11 grandchildren nearby?
5 of them are. No, I shouldn't say that. 7 of them are.
Oh, nice.
I have, the others are. One in Green Bay. I mean, it's not far away, but
Sure.
just far enough. Sometimes it's a good thing.
Yeah,
And one in Green Bay, one in New Holstein, one in Fond du Lac, and one in Appleton.
oh, wow, so up the Fox River Valley,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
great. It's great.
Oh, and then I'll have one now that'll be permanently in Waukesha area.
Uh-huh.
She just graduated Friday.
Hannah, awesome.
Oh.
So she has her PA then?
Doctorate of physical therapy.
Oh, PT, okay,
Wow.
okay, so your PT, oh, wow. That's amazing.
And she has just accepted a job with the Aurora
Oh,
Medical
yes,
Facility.
yes.
And she's going to be a floater.
Oh.
Where they can send her 45 minutes within wherever she lives.
Okay.
Sure.
So they get a radius. But to take that position, and the reason she took it, she's very, very conservative.
Mhm.
She got a $5,000 sign-on bonus,
Nice.
That
Very
always
good.
helps.
Yeah.
but she gets $15 an hour more.
Oh, that's awesome.
But there'll be long-term floats, like months, 2 months.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
Yes,
on a
yes.
daily basis or a weekly basis.
sure.
What would you?
Great way to get experience in a bunch of different places when you're just starting out and you don't, they don't know, so that's awesome.
Getting
And at the end of 6 months,
from
she can decide
village.
not to be the
As part of the project.
and automatically go into.
Matt up.
But that'll be a cat.
Oh, yeah.
Take that.
That's amazing.
There's a
Stay put.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
ballpark
So
number.
we'll see what
Um,
there.
That is great.
Is she found an apartment and everything?
Well, she could stay where she's at,
Uh-huh.
but she's looking for something different.
6 into
Yeah.
12.
That's the only thing, the traffic around that area tends to get. a little-
She loves it.
I know, I know.
They're young, they're young.
This is the swale.
I know we went in for graduation on Friday night.
Just.
Thank goodness Tim was driving.
Where the swale is, because where the dune is, there's.
No, it was backed up everywhere.
Was that Mr. Berg?
Yes, there was.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that never helps.
And they had been down the night before for a big
So we
banquet,
need to add it to the.
and they said, oh, traffic escape.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it may have been.
We get it back up before we got on the belt line.
Oh, my gosh.
that's the worst.
Is this what the?
No, I'm sorry, here.
What
You can take.
You
it
wanna
with
include
you.
that
No,
in?
I don't. But this is.
Just mention
the
it as part
area
of-
right here.
Part of
That's the village.
16 or something.
This is.
Yeah, I think we just added. added
Have you-
continue in front of
This
me.
is over here a little bit.
13.
This is over here. Burns is here. I think Jeske's have some portion over here. This is Gurry's. So I don't know if Jeske's, we don't,
This is,
we don't know. So I shouldn't talk like I know. And I know Anderson is part of it too, who's down
so how
here.
many acres are we talking?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm totally guessing.
That one, the one that is highlighted there is about 55 acres.
Okay. So this is.
So that gives you a
Okay, that's
range
kind
of
of
how
what I
big the
thought,
others are.
but I wasn't.
Phil or somebody was talking about 90-ish acres.
Okay, there you go.
How much?
90 or so.
90?
This
There were
is,
a couple
this is not,
properties.
this, it's gotta be more than this.
It is
And
more
this
than
here.
that.
Yeah, I,
Yep. It's the one above it as well. The one north of it. Yep.
Both of those.
Yeah.
But that's that's not gonna be 90 acres.
Well, that highlighted one is
Yeah.
55.
This is 65,
55.
55.
Yeah.
Is the blue one?
No, there's nothing here.
I think so, yeah. I think this is
I
the.
thought that with Jesse's, I know Jesse's have like a gate, have something right here, but I don't know where the Jesse's.
Theirs is down.
You can't do.
Yeah, they're down.
And maybe they're not here, but I thought they had, you know, like, and then this
Part of
is
the
the,
discussion is, okay, what's happening?
Which
landscaper.
makes.
No, the landscaper people are,
Why we
Right
would
there,
be.
yep.
Yeah,
responsible.
over here.
Honey,
Yeah, the honeybee, and then
Yeah.
this would be, yes, this would be Nicholas, and then
Well,
this kind of goes around.
Still awesome.
Nicholas.
I thought you used this. I thought this was.
Yes, it's some, yeah, some. Oh, is,
This is where you used to have
All that
those
part-
bison.
was part of it.
I know the
Used to
bison.
have bison.
Or maybe we're just to Lincoln.
Sure. You can have it. You can take it home and study it. Those are just, the ones on the front.
I think what-
I just took them out.
Okay,
I think
not
what
the
we-
entire board.
Okay,
I think-
fine for the discussion.
There was.
Yeah.
Planning commission.
Yeah.
If you,
not crime,
I think it's notices if you.
Not Brian.
not crime, no.
Oh, what would you use? What's the right adjective?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't discovered.
I didn't see, I'm sure there'll be discussions.
I'm sure.
I just thought
We're
they're
gonna get out of here. I'm
Oh.
gonna find one.
Alright.
The chairs are super comfortable right there, you might grab one from the outfit.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye Karen.
Okay.
You can see the.
Yeah, I was just trying to look.
It's at
There's three, there has to
It's
be
at
those.
3 o'clock.
Okay.
So you,
Who owns that one little piece of parcel that we were talking about?
The little triangle.
I know that we had a designated group going and Carl was one of
Okay.
them. Jennifer and,
Tim
Stephanie
Yanishak.
and Tim.
That's all.
Planning
Arlen,
commission.
within Arlen,
Yeah.
That's Buglitz.
you know, I'm not totally sure now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna ask.
That's the next one down.
Sure. I'm pretty sure this is Bugles.
Yeah,
No,
go over to
and
the
then
next
one,
one, right
right
there.
there, that is
Yeah,
Yeah,
Buglitz
look
too.
at that
This
one.
one,
I
I don't
think
know,
that's
this
it.
one, it might have, see, it's locked.
And is
I have to go,
That's Buglitz's property too.
I think it is.
Yes,
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
and you just look at the hospitable keep out signs.
I don't know that that's in the corner, but I can go in the office because I can get in there. Okay, I would like to make just a comment about my last motion.
Yes.
Okay. This is where we run into problems, and I will tell you what the problem is when I said earlier, when you are all in a general agreement of how you want to spend money, but you just agreed to spend money that we technically don't have. Does that make sense?
Yes,
What-
because you said, yeah,
Road.
And the South Perry Parkway,
yes.
okay? We don't have that money.
Okay,
And you're talking about putting it in part of a financing package is, and two people didn't agree to wanting to spend that money. Do you understand that causes an issue when we're spending money that's not in a general agreement at all? Don't quite know
Well-
the legal terms of how to do this, but then someone's gonna approve a financing package and they're approving things within a finance package that they might not want to pay for.
Now, finance package, or when we had talked about this before, saying that this is something in the 2025 budget, that was,
We haven't even approved the 2025 budget.
No, we
I don't
haven't.
even have a 2025 budget to show you how much money I'm gonna have for road work in 2025.
But are you saying, Arlen, that this is, we can put it in, we can have this discussion when we make the 2025 budget and then put it into that budget and not have to borrow? Is that what you're getting at? I mean, and I think that would give us a little more time to process what's going on.
But you've agreed to spend the money, I guess, is what I'm saying. You've agreed to spend the money. And we
Yeah.
don't have the money to spend it. We don't have it. So if the money would be sitting there and three people would make it, I'd be like, great, cool, Jennifer's gonna write out a check. And I would feel great about it. But in this case, there is no money to be spent, but you've agreed to spend it.
Right, but
I
this
can
is-
kinda just
Again,
get that across.
I got you, but
Everybody.
isn't this exactly the same as the Farner bid?
No, because I think you talked about it, and I think there was a general sense that you were gonna put it into the financing package, because that's how the
Yeah.
motion was made.
I voted no because I always was troubled by the fact that Farner was subcontracting with Payne and Dolan. And that man from Scott has been here pointing that out. I just thought he had a point. Kind of. And I do think there were concerns about the work that Payne and Dolan did. Sheldon and I drove that area with the substandard wedging. So maybe I shouldn't have voted no, but I was troubled. I thought,
okay,
I really was troubled, but because first of all, there was a separate bid from Payne and Dolan just for that wedging. And then there was the Farner bid, which it was sort of deceiving. I thought that it was the same amount that Payne and Dolan had,
Yeah.
you know, and so I just thought, I think that guy has a point. So that's all, that's,
okay, in some response to that. No, really, to help get the quality issue
Yeah.
down. I had Able set up a pre-construction meeting
yeah.
With
With Payne
Farner.
and Dolan,
and Payne and Dolan.
so you resolved that.
We resolved that and also found out that the work that was done on Tipperary Road, they took a full thickness,
Yeah,
instead of doing a tapered thing,
yeah,
they took a full thickness of pavement over the whole lane,
yeah.
basically used twice as much.
And then they.
Asphalt.
Asphalt.
And then they did not do other areas that should have been
Yes,
wedged.
yes.
So this time that has
They
been laid
worked
out.
that out.
They laid it out as to how it is, how are you gonna do this? Abel, is this what you want to have happen? Yes. So this was,
Hmm.
like I say, do it ahead of time and then have Abel be notified when they're doing it, so that there's some, yes, this is what you agreed to. And this is what we're going to do and not do twice as much material, because it is the price in the bid is also so many dollars per ton.
Mhm.
And if they start doing twice as much as what they're supposed to, we're gonna be paying a bill. So this again, I initiated this, that this is ahead of time, before any trucks come. Before anybody starts moving or scheduling, this is what has to happen. And they've agreed to that. And Able is satisfied with it.
Okay.
So,
I wasn't
Good, good.
updated on that.
no, good, but good concerns. And that's because Able was extremely unhappy
Yeah,
with Payne and Dolan's bad job on Tipperary.
yeah,
And they also went over to Tipperary this is not going to happen again.
Yeah.
We should get back in session.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so recess is over and this meeting is
So
back in order.
if I could follow up on the 13A that we're on. I also met with Jeff Rao yesterday. Able is wanting to have a very deteriorated swale
Mhm.
that's between us and the road, the pavement out there.
This property,
Is it's on, it's on our section of the right of way plus 5 feet into our. It's 15 feet of pavement that has a swale. So it's a drainage swale. It's about 150 feet long. And it's coming apart.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have a brand new road next to it. Jeff Rao is saying in the same conditions, he's going to be getting a proposal for what that would cost.
okay, so that's not included in the.
It is not included in anything here. And from back porch estimating, if our 990 feet of road work is going to cost 21,150 feet, a little bit wider than a lane. This may be in the 4,000 or 5,000 range. 3, 4, 5,000 is my back porch estimate. We'll find out when he comes in at. So information, no action.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about the previous motion on the cost sharing agreement. If we didn't specify financing in there. I don't know the parliamentary method for this. If we didn't specify financing, can we either modify, either have a second motion that specifies financing sources, or modify the previous motion and approval? And I don't know the answer to either of those questions. Do you happen to know?
To do what?
To if, Jennifer, so similar to what we did with the Farner bid, we said, we'll approve it. We're taking $140,000 from the existing budget, and then we'll also add the additional, whatever that number was, but 14,000, 15,000 to a financing package. With the village work, the cost sharing with the village, technically it's not in the road work budget for 2024 right now.
Mhm.
So what we'd be saying is that sharing agreement, the cost of that sharing agreement would be also similar to the bid discussion, would be added to the financing package. And maybe ultimately this Jeff Rao, or not Jeff Rao zone, but the swale.
Yeah.
Project would be part of that.
I have no problem with that, because I think that if we're doing a finance package, that finance package is going to be including not just work in 24, but possibly work in 25 and 26, which could include equipment, which we have approved or borrowed for and then paid for 2 years later.
Yeah, supply chain issues.
Pardon?
So due to the supply chain issues, yeah.
Yeah, so
We'll
I'm
get the
not, so-
equipment.
I think we have a mechanism here to do this.
I'm not sure. I guess I think that there would be, you would want to say how you're paying for it.
Pardon?
You would want to just acknowledge how you're paying for it.
If we have a proper motion to be paying for it, I think we have the intent as to how to do this. I mean, just like the village is taking a loan out for 3 years worth of work. And I'm not so sure that we can't, we are doing that on a number of our loans by when we're ordering a truck and paying for it 2 years from now. But we've already authorized the payment through borrowing or from the budget. I think that we have already outlined this summer that we have a number of finance things to be, how we're going to do this. Where are we going to make up the difference, the deficit, because we're the levy limits? So I think we have a number of alternatives that we need to be looking at over this summer. And I thought we agreed to that as to how we're going to be preparing the budget, which is going to be including the finance, what kind of finance package we're going to be doing and what's appropriate and what, with the goal of keeping our taxes on a relatively even keel.
You have
And
to
not
have a
having big
financing
spikes.
package approved by the board, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have portions of a financing package that some board members don't agree with, you might not have approval of a financing package.
Oh, that, when they review it at the board,
Say
That's-
again.
Yeah, that's the risk that you run.
when
Is
you
that we
don't
get to
agree.
that financing package,
Yeah.
which needs to be approved.
Yes.
And,
be
you know,
approved.
projects found their way into that financing
Yeah,
package
yeah.
that were
Not unanimous.
not unanimous, and all of a sudden, you got a financing package that it doesn't have support. So you've spent the money, you've committed, we signed contracts.
Yeah,
It's a hypothetical,
It's
don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it's a hypothetical. It's just, it should be, we should be looking at approving those things with a financing package before we approve them and then months later get a financing package. That's all, we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit, and
That's
the
what we were
fact
talking about earlier in the meeting.
the fact
This is
that
sort of
the
a-
village, a month before they're starting the work, that has been in their budget, for sure.
It has, except our portion.
Exactly, but they should have let us know.
They did.
But they should have let us know when they put it in their budget. They're, all of a sudden, here we are, they're saying, we need some cost sharing,
yeah.
and we're starting it next month, and we're like,
How long has this been?
I can tell you, I just got an updated contract Monday,
Okay,
and I was like, all right, how am I supposed to get, I mean, like, I'm like, how am I supposed to get that into the?
okay.
and that's a question for the
We
village.
did the
That's a
agenda.
question to ask the village. How,
Okay, but, no, your point's well taken.
so I'm,
Yeah,
and,
and that's why I really am eager to be having us really in-depth hash out how we're going to be handling the budgets, including this financing package
and in the
as
meantime,
an alternative, and there's other things that are out there, referendums. You know, there's all kinds of things that we could be doing. But what are we going to do and what are our needs? Because I don't want us to be getting it back into the neglect.
Yeah,
Oh, we don't have it.
I totally agree. I just
Okay.
think we shouldn't be committing to those until we have that discussion
Yeah.
and put them in the budget. That's all my point is. I'm just saying, because I guarantee the village has had this in their budget. And if it was really important for them
They
to
would.
have us cost share, they would have had that conversation with us then. Instead, we're a month away. They're like, the trucks are pulling up right now. And you wanna split that with us?
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable for me.
Well, didn't just happen this month. It's been several months back that they approached us. But it's also was not last year.
No,
Sure.
no,
When they were.
It was for them, though.
When they were doing their budget, they should have talked to us last fall,
For sure,
but
for sure. And then we would have put it in our budget,
And I
at
just,
least an allocation.
and I just have to say, like, you know, there's two of us in the office that are paying the bill, and we have to watch what bills come and at what time they come. Like, it can get kind of tight because our money, our revenues coming in and our big expenses going out are not always equal. So, and that's why I'm being very cautious of what I'm trying to say, what you guys are agreeing to and then what we have to actually pay. Because our like, a lot, our Bureau of Public Land payments come out in March, and those are really our large payments. And we don't, we get shared revenue, we get that throughout the year. We just have to be very careful of
Yes.
what we're spending and what we're agreeing to.
And with that in mind, if we have a timing difference, it would be prudent for us to have possibly, and I don't want to bring up a whole can of worms, but it could be prudent for us to have a line of credit that just smooths out timing differences. But hypothetically, if we said, because this is a very appropriate comparison, if we said to the village, we're not signing your cost share agreement. The village is getting the work done. They are going to be in a position of spending $40,000 that they thought we were gonna split with them. And now we're saying we're not. And so how are they gonna come up with $40,000? They've already signed the contracts. They've already made the commitment. They've already got a contractor coming to do the work. And all of a sudden, and it's no different than us, when we get to this financing package in the fall, it's no different than us saying, well, there were a few people who didn't agree with that portion of that financing package. And all of a sudden, we don't have the votes to pass it. And we're getting the work done. We've signed the contracts and we can't get approval at the board. The village is in that exact same position because they didn't bring us along
Yeah.
on their thought process in getting this work done. It's uncomfortable for me.
Mhm.
Because we're gonna have 3 discussions in this agenda about a financing package we don't even have approved. And we're committing to signing contracts already. Ooh,
We got more coming.
I know, that's what I mean. It's uncomfortable for me. So that's why I voted no. I'm just, we've just got,
Mhm.
the village is saying, will you share this with us? And they have been planning this for over a year, because it's in their budget. I think it's unfortunate and unfair for them to come to us and say, will you share in this? We need you to share in this with us. I feel comfortable saying to them, to Martin and to Jeff, it's not in our budget this year. When we put together the 2025 budget, we'll see if we can get that put in.
And that seems reasonable. I mean,
It is,
But-
I think it is,
And that
but I
doesn't-
think they're being unreasonable. We're not being unreasonable. They're being unreasonable by springing this on us, in my opinion.
Okay, well, we have, the agreement is to be paying in 25
Is to be,
for that work. We
Yeah.
pay it in 25, not 24.
I agree. The agreement that we're signing is for that, but we still don't have the money to pay it in 2025 because we haven't done the 2025 budget yet.
right,
And we certainly haven't approved the 2025.
we
Okay.
have to wait.
Well,
That's,
for-
we.
And I don't think we know what the roads we're doing in 2025 are either.
Yeah, right.
So we haven't even, so you can't even like add that into the road package, because we don't even know, because we unfortunately aren't planning us ahead as the village has.
Yes.
We don't,
Right.
I mean, you're working on it,
Mhm.
but we're not even there, so we don't even know if it fits into our 2025 budget yet.
Yes, Arlen, please don't misunderstand. I'm not being critical of you and the committee. I am definitely not being critical. I'm just saying, as a board, we can't spend the money that we don't
Okay.
have.
Let's find out what it is we can, because I was under the impression that, and we had the discussion to be putting the expenditure into 2025. And that was great,
But we haven't approved that budget yet.
granted, but
Well,
we
we
did,
had informal discussions about,
Yes.
about mid-year financing. to cover unexpected expenses, unexpected projects, high priority projects. Take advantage of opportunities that arise, that type of thing. So this is what we were talking about in the beginning, is that it's a very much chicken and egg type of thing, is that to inventory the priorities and opportunities and things like that. With the general understanding that we're gonna do some additional financing to cover those.
If you turn to page 182, let's just look at what 182, page 182, so you guys can get kind of a understanding of when you're talking about a finance package and what that means. Okay, page 182 lists the current loans we have and how they are paid off and when we need to take a new loan. So we talked about this before. You want to try to keep your levy. You don't want it to go down. You don't want taxes to go up and down and fluctuate. Town's taxes are not as big as like the school district taxes, but definitely you don't want residents to see that. So you try to keep them quite level. And by doing that, you're going to be replacing loans as they come due. So you'll see that in 2024 and 2025, we're going to want to be replacing a loan. So the new loan would start sometime after September 1st of 2024 and between 8/31 of 2025 to start in 2026.
Which is the financing package we've been talking about. So let's put this override in there. Let's put that equipment in there. That's the one we're assembling.
That's what we're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, so does everyone kind of understand? So this one would be replacing the 2021 loan. Okay, the $325,000 we borrowed in 2021.
Mhm.
We will never see the 2.5%.
Yeah.
So we should have borrowed way more and barely passed that one. Okay, so that is the loan that we are replacing.
Mhm.
And it's going to be a loan package because we're not borrowing $10 or $100. We're gonna put it in one big loan. We're not gonna borrow multiple times. Okay, and so then.
Well, we could technically. It would be a pain, but we could.
You
Borrow,
absolutely could.
borrow multiple smaller ones.
It would be
Would be administrative.
massively inconvenient for a staff of 2 people.
No, I know.
And it would be
No.
really, I'm not even sure that. So
And then you'd be-
you could absolutely borrow as many times as you want, but the idea would be to try to put it all in.
Yes,
this
I
loan
agree.
package. Okay. So then you're going to look and you're gonna say, okay, in 2027, you're gonna be replacing that 2023 loan.
Mhm.
Is that track to how everybody?
Mhm.
So basically what you're gonna be saying is between September 1st of 2026 and 8/31 of 27, you're gonna be putting together another loan package. Okay,
So, right, there are 3 loans noted on here, 20, 21, and 23. And you're saying that 21 is coming due? Or the 20 is,
The 20 is coming due
the 20,
this
the
year in
20,
September.
the 20, we've already replaced the 20 loan.
we've
We
replaced
replaced
the
the
20,
20 loan with the 2023 loan.
okay?
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yep. So we've already replaced that loan. So
Okay.
we have 2 loans. We only have 2 loans ever being paid at one time.
Okay,
And so we just replace them as they,
okay, so now we're talking the 2021, which is about 325,000.
yep. And your loan package might end up being $500,000. I'm not sure.
It's a number.
Yeah, but I guess I wanted everyone to kind of focus in to see like, this is what you're looking at.
You're trying to manage the cash flow. You're trying to manage level out the cash flow. That's all.
If whatever this loan is for, it would be paying some of the immediate finance package things that we need for 24. Possibly,
Yep,
or hopefully,
yeah.
as well as things for 25 and 26.
Depending on what you want to do, because you would be looking at potentially taking out another loan after September 1st of 26. So it depends on how
Right,
you're gonna structure it.
right, and that seems like with the finances that have been dictated by the Walker administration, that this is something we have to do because they froze the levy limits.
Right, we can talk about that now if you would like.
No.
Okay, oh, yes, but this is what.
This is a long, involved discussion that counts that, and so many different things. I don't know how much of this meeting we can,
And so
solve
like,
all that
let's just say, you have a road that blows up, or you have something. You can borrow outside of this loan schedule. You could take out another loan if you needed to. If there was an emergency or some sort like that. But, you know, you would be wanting to try to plan your loan around what you were borrowing around.
And that's sort of what I was getting at before, a little bit about the multiple loans rather than this one. And earlier about, okay, if it's a priority project that or let me put it this, so an unknown, we didn't expect it, an emergency, a good opportunity, shouldn't be missed. Those types of things to me would fit into the idea of a mid-year financing package.
I don't think that's a good budgeting. You know, I think it would be a really like, I don't think you would review it. I think it would come up naturally, like a road exploding, and you would have like an emergency that you'd have to take it out.
Right.
Otherwise, everything else should be pretty much planned.
yeah, no, and I just think we should be planning. And we've been trying to get on this schedule of what's our long-term equipment road goals, so that we do have a plan, so that we can plan our loans, even though we may not be spending it as we borrow it, but so we can do the work in the future.
Well, I can tell you, when we borrowed at 2.5% interest, we couldn't get the equipment. And so we made money off of that money because we
Oh,
got
right.
interest off of it.
That was, don't ever expect that again. That was blah, 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 blah.
We
I'm sure.
benefited from that immensely,
That's right.
so,
So that's wise planning, and sometimes it works, the universe provides.
yeah, but,
So we should
yeah,
on
I'm-
track.
yeah.
Well, I think we still need to resolve the cost sharing agreement.
I guess I would say that if you're going to make a different motion, you would do something that you would either make a new motion
Right.
to offset something, but.
How about, we already made the motion.
Yeah, it can stay the way it is.
Would be a clarification.
It can
If
stay
there's
the way it
a
is.
clarification or a secondary motion that clarifies something, fine.
Or can you rescind it altogether?
What are you suggesting?
I'm not sure what I'm suggesting. I was just making a point that I was a little nervous about the spending of the money. And I wasn't sure where it was coming from necessarily, but it obviously is a motion that you guys made, so it would be someone else.
I appreciate you raising that flag.
Okay.
I do.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now how do what is it that needs to be resolved?
Source of funds.
Let's get,
Maybe it comes down to the source of funding or we send.
is that an item 6? Or what,
That's a-
16?
I think we're still on.
13A,
We're still on 13A?
Yeah, I mean,
and on whether,
I think it was,
yeah,
the way it stands, I think it was approved without specifying source of funding,
And-
which creates a
and
problem.
with- and it was a 3-2.
Okay.
We can, and here,
we
absolutely,
have-
it was 3-2, but I don't think we can get into, or we shouldn't get into, a mindset of thinking that everything has to be unanimous.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree.
Everything has to be
Statute.
unanimous. Yes. No,
It says you can't be out of budget. Like
Right.
there's a general rule that, you know, if we're going outside a budget, there's something wrong and that there needs, the board needs,
Right.
you can't do that. So I'm trying to wrap my head around of what you guys just did without.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Um,
So what?
I think the only, if we're gonna leave it as it is, that money is gonna get spent out of the general fund. In other words, no borrowing. We're gonna spend money that we have.
in
Money that we're
2020
going to borrow, money that we have.
It would be coming out of basically savings.
Yes, out of savings.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Exactly.
And that would cause, you're not getting savings back with having levy limits.
Right.
Yes. Right. So it,
To-
and it's a small dollar amount, but it's important to realize that this small dollar amount could cause a real problem for
Right.
cash flow, even though it's a small dollar.
Right.
Right.
What are-
With our tight.
Jennifer, what are
Yes.
we doing with the proceeds from the truck auction?
It has to go to paying for the new truck.
Toward the truck, we did it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, but we netted it out. Okay,
Yeah.
so it can't be that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, well, that's,
So
Okay.
that's, I think that's the issue is that the way it is today, because we don't have approved financing. It's the plan to do that, but we don't have it.
Yeah.
It is not a savings.
Right.
And we just all have to understand that. And in the fall, when we put together the financing package, we may be able to fix that and pay our savings
Well,
account
that's
back.
what I was gonna
But
ask
it's
you.
not,
Yeah.
that's not a good way to do it.
No,
Jennifer, do you know, I know it's probably on page 190 something. The account, the GL account for general fund, is it significant balance? What, is it?
So you're asking what our savings balance
What's a-
is, okay, right? So.
It's in
there. So it ebbs and flows, right?
Yep.
Because I was saying,
For
you're
cash
paying it
flow
throughout the year. There used to be this general thing like, oh, the town has $1 million in savings, right? And that would show on your annual report. We don't probably have that amount of money. Maybe we have, but you're talking all of our park funds included in that.
Okay.
Right? All of our park funds are included in that.
Right.
So if you're gonna take $30,000 out of the mix, you know, come June, July, or whatever, when we're paying these big bills, you get a little, it gets a little tight. It gets a little tight. It's not that we don't have money, it just gets a little tough the way that we're,
With the timing.
the timing of everything happening. Can you spend $30,000? Probably.
Right.
But you're gonna, then when you, at the end of the year, you're gonna see, well, we're not gonna have $30,000 like.
And
Not gonna do
replenishing that savings is hard to do with the limits.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
it.
Oh, there is no.
It's really hard to
There's
do.
no, it's impossible to do.
Yeah.
We're,
We can't budget for surplus funds. We
no,
can budget for, you know, projects,
we
but
stopped every single project.
we barely can't put enough money in the categories of our budget that we want to, so.
Yeah.
okay. We started out with this as being that it was possible to be committing to payment in 2025 out of the general road fund. Or just out of the, whatever the road budget was for 2025. What was moving forward with that as being something that we could do. You're hesitant on that and saying we have to have some
Prove that.
intermediate step of financing in somewhere in this year's budget or a borrowing package or something else besides committing to our road budget for 2025.
I guess what I'm saying to you is, I don't know what you're gonna be able to put into your road budget for 2025.
Yeah, that's-
I don't know. I can't, I couldn't guarantee that to you. I don't know. So I think you're just guessing. And I'm not sure. I think Tim agrees. I think I would say, he would say we pay out of general fund because where the money coming from?
Okay,
There are funds that we haven't even earned yet.
okay, we have to, we not only have the 30,000 for Union and Southbury Parkway.
Mhm.
We also have the Alpine Road, which needs to be sealed.
Which is our next, that's our next item.
Yeah.
That's one of the next items.
Yep.
So now we're at another 26,000. So that's 56,000. But that's something that probably needs to be paid this year.
It absolutely would need to be paid this year. It's going to the town of Brooklyn. They're
So
not.
we have,
gonna have the cash
so
flow
for 2024, we're coming in with potential obligations of the 14,000 for the road bid that we have. Plus 26, so there's 40,000 of road work that potentially it's very good price, incredibly good prices.
It always is.
It always is. It's such an ego. And if we don't do this, it becomes, and we can say no to the town of Brooklyn. We can say no. They'll grumble, we'll grumble. Abel will grumble a lot. And we're not gonna get as good a deal
Down the
next year.
road.
Sure, but as long as you put it into a financing package and then there's a general agreement amongst everybody that that's a good idea.
Okay, it's a good idea, but how do we do the logistics of that between now and June?
You would have to, I think the $26,000 would be okay to cash flow, because at the financing package, we would be getting the money within the same year. Does that make sense? We're gonna get
No, it
the
doesn't.
loan funds
No, it doesn't.
after
'Cause we're
September 1st.
talking about committing to a financing that we do not have in our 2024 budget yet.
Right, but the same way you did it for the 14,000 would be the same way you do it for the 26,000. You're right?
Which is saying, do it on the financing package,
Yes,
and if that's okay.
yes, because we're going to be getting the money and paying the money this year.
Okay, but as Tim said, we haven't approved that yet.
Because when you made the motion for what you're doing out there, you just said, we're gonna do it. You didn't identify how you were paying for it. Well, you identified by paying for it, we don't
In
know it,
2025.
but we don't know, we don't have any money for 2025 yet.
Okay, well, if we are doing a financing package that is covering potential capital improvements, not just 24, but 25 and 20, possibly 26.
Okay,
Is
with
that-
that financing package, I think we're going back to, we're kind of going back into a circle. Two people did not vote in favor of signing that contract. They could potentially not approve that financing package, that hypothetical, we're coming back to that.
Mhm.
That's where I'm raising the red
That's where the
flag.
problem is.
Yes. So we're coming back to that. So everything you're doing is coming back to the fact that,
Well, if
So-
we haven't approved it, who knows? They may approve it if it's a reasonable
but we've
approach to
signed a
do it.
contract. So then that becomes, I don't know. I don't know.
I know what I know what you're saying. It makes me think though of like, say, a bill. Like, US government, right? A bill before the House or Senate, and it may have multiple parts to it and you don't love every part of it, but there are important elements to it that you do vote for or you vote against. So I don't,
In this
There could be
particular
a
case,
connection.
our financing package, you would be
Or-
putting together a whole dollar amount. You're not gonna be itemizing it and taking things in and out of it.
no, I know, but well, right, no, I understand that. But I'm not saying that you can pick and choose what you vote for or vote against, but if someone who voted against a particular motion to purchase something and eventually finance it, if in the financing package, there are multiple things behind the scenes, behind the big number, right? People's votes might change at that point in time. Somebody who didn't approve something months ago might approve, or somebody who did approve might not approve.
You're kind of forcing them to approve it though. Right?
What
I'm saying
there,
not exactly.
democracy and votes can be very messy.
Because we're
And-
putting,
and people don't have to vote yes and no
Yeah, we don't have to all agree.
It's because the circumstances will change.
But when you're borrowing, every single person has to sign the Bureau of Public Lands. They have to sign it. You
But-
actually physically sign the resolution for the Bureau of Public Lands. You have to sign it. There can't be, you're not going to get the loan if there's not a majority of people. And I think it can be 3. I don't know that it has to be 4, but that is a requirement of borrowing that money.
Yeah, that it has to be.
And everybody has to sign it and you have to do it. So I guess that's what I'm just trying to get at is that, it wouldn't be such a big deal if you had, everyone was just kind of in agreement.
The what?
So can,
Right,
so.
right.
If. Okay,
And if you were, as this stands, I think that I would do what Tim says and you would be paying it out of savings, the $30,000. So as long as everyone's okay with it, then I think you can move forward and go on to agenda item 13B. If someone's uncomfortable with it, then I think someone would make a different motion. Because you didn't specify, you
Oh,
said you're gonna be paying it in 25, but you didn't specify.
oh,
Yeah.
we just said we were gonna pay
Okay.
it. We didn't tie it to a loan. in the-
or
in the
right,
motion.
any funding.
Any funding at all.
Right.
But would we have to remove to take it out of savings, or is that?
I think we probably should. I think we probably should for clarity purposes. To just have a clarifying
the-
motion
the
that the funding for the motion to approve the cost sharing agreement will
the
be
village.
paid from, with the village, will be paid from general funds.
why not a financing package?
We just went
Or,
through.
Well,
Well,
I suppose-
we're doing something, we're committing to 2025. Jennifer has problems with this being projected out there when the budget has not been had. Would we not, okay, so you're saying dip into savings and take out that from savings? Or have the similar thing to the Farner bid, the overrun there and say, this, make it part of a financing package? Which is a better way of approaching this? Which makes your life easier?
and
Not spending it? Okay.
Spending the money before we spend it. That would be her preference.
I may have phrased that wrong.
Yes. I
If
think
we're
the
going to be
preference
moving
is
forward, what is,
to have a funding source before we spend. Money. That's what her preference
Okay.
is. That's all.
have we, in our previous motion for the Farner bid, did we mention, was that a sufficient financing package?
we said 140 from existing budget and we said the balance from financing.
And that we agreed
And
it would
and-
come from a finance.
Does that-
Package.
Is that,
To be added to.
I think everyone was in
Financing
general
package.
agreement of that. I think everyone was okay. It becomes a little bit more, I think you guys should take pause if not everybody at the table is agreeing, right?
Right.
That's all I'm not saying you have to agree. I think you might want to just take pause to say,
Right,
we're agreeing, 3 of us are agreeing to take $30,000 out of savings, not 5 of us. You don't have to all agree. I definitely don't think that, but in terms of money, sometimes it's nice to have just a general consensus.
well, it's nice to have consensus, but we're not always going to have consensus.
But in the area of money, tends to be just a little bit.
It's a little problematic.
I think for us right now, for the town, I think, and I don't know how far back historically this goes, but I think the general process has been have the annual budget discussions prior to the budget year, end of story.
Yeah.
Is that-
And develop a financing package
And I'm-
around that budget.
And I'm not really necessarily agreeing with that,
Oh, yeah.
because but I think that's been, historically, I think that's been it.
What they did in the past was they would do it in the rears a little bit. They would kind of bid the roads and then they'd kind of borrow the money
Right.
within the same year that they were doing it. But you have to remember, borrowing is not new to the town, but relatively new to the town. It's not like we have this long history of borrowing. It's very new to us because we didn't have to do it in the
Right.
past. So I think this is just becoming where we're not super savvy. So Tim's gonna be super helpful in that aspect of what we're not super savvy on.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm
on
not
some of-
trying, again, I don't bring any special tools here. And I'm just, my background is in banking. If one of my customers was out spending money he didn't have, and then I bought an RV this weekend, could I borrow the money? And I'd be like,
That's
probably should have asked me before you bought the RV.
It's just kind of.
And so that's just my nature is to try to get.
And municipal is a little bit different than.
It is a little bit different because you've got,
Joe Sixpack down the road, who has has no certain income.
Yes, yes.
And well, we have,
yeah, it's not really an underwriting decision, it's. To even buy the RV means that the board approved it, whether it was 3-2 or 4-1 or whatever, 5-0. So it's a little, I think it's a little, I get where I absolutely get what you're saying. So it's a little bit different from municipalities.
Like, pretend I'm gonna be here all the time and you people are all gonna change out of your chairs, right? So I'm gonna go into budget and I might have different people sitting here and I'm gonna say, oh, by the way, we owe the village this money. And they're like, what? What do you, what do you,
I didn't
what do
see
you
that in
think?
the budget.
How are you spending money that they didn't already have, or what do you?
Right.
It gets a little complicated when you look at it from where I'm sitting versus I think kind of where you're sitting and you're thinking, oh, this is
Okay.
my thought, but if there's a new person in that chair.
And if we take the money out of savings right now.
Yeah.
And the big bills come in, all of a sudden Jennifer's like, can you wait till next month? And our credit rating is at risk.
okay. I also need some help here.
Sure.
Because a couple of months, when was it, February that I came? We can check the minutes, that the offer had been put forward to me for cost sharing on the road work out there. And then it's been run by everybody here.
Except for me.
With some
Understood.
exception,
Understood.
that this was a good concept. Let's move forward with it. So I moved forward with it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so right now, here we are. I want to make sure that we continue to act in good faith and be building good relationships with the village on this and not, sorry,
Yes,
we're not going to pay for it.
yes.
I don't find that answer, oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean,
That, like I say, I'm counting on a long and a better relationship with the village than we've ever had before.
And I think.
Where
that would be
previous
a two-way street.
administrations never talked to them or never wanted to share conversations. So I think we're building a good relationship.
Yep.
Let's.
and I'm
continue on.
new to the table.
Yeah,
Totally
okay,
understand.
so we've approved it.
Yep,
Yep,
Can we would it be better to tap into savings or be saying that let's get this as part of the finance package that we added to the farmer?
For this year.
What is the better way of doing this?
up to you guys. I
Oh,
mean,
no,
that's-
wait,
It would be up to me to say that you would verbalize where the money is coming from, so that in the minutes it would be reflected, hey, this is where they said the money. If you're gonna be paying it in 25, I guess.
You can finance.
We could-
it now.
Or we could have it be part of the financing package that we're planning.
So
And
let
then
me.
yet you said that we could that could be scuttled.
So, okay,
by
so
the board.
can I just add, so the village has to pay the bill, right?
The what?
The village has to pay the bill.
right, because
Like,
they're the
they-
ones
They
contract.
could also cut out the work.
Sure, okay, so let's say, but they have to pay the bill, right? So why, are they giving us an interest-free loan?
Yes.
And so you're saying that that. Okay,
this is an amount that's due
so. if-
before June 1st of 25.
So if that, I don't know much about road construction, but those big trucks are gonna come through and then they're just gonna kind of go around our area? Is that how those trucks work? Is that how they're just gonna like,
What trucks are you talking about?
the construction trucks, like they, will they not do our road? They're just gonna circle around it when they
If we
dig
don't,
it up?
if we don't go in on the deal.
Yeah,
Then we
yeah,
don't
yeah,
go with
so
it, yes.
how do they're just gonna dig up
They're-
half of
they're-
the road? Can you do that?
Anyway, Jeff, the thing on Perry Parkway is, yes, they could just leave it, we could just say, leave it a piece of crap,
Oh, okay,
just leave it as is. That was the option. And I don't find it a very good option because the road, it's not in good shape.
sure.
And they were feeling that that section of road is actually more identified with the village, and so they were looking at their own.
How would you like to
optics.
pay for it? You want, your motion indicated that you think we would just take it out of the 25 budget that we don't have yet. But that's what you're gonna
That
just
was,
take it out of.
that
your
was
25.
that was my intent,
Okay.
and you're saying that that's a problem.
And I don't think it's that much of a problem for $30,000 though, because we're gonna have a road budget number, more than $30,000, guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed.
Then just-
We have an understanding that I think that, that's true. And I think it'll be the same board in the fall. It's all, months away,
Theoretically,
but well. Close.
just a
True.
bad joke. so.
True. Well, you never know. Sometimes it's
Are you putting in the resignation papers?
No.
So do we want to leave it as is and move on to 13B?
Let's do
I
that.
think we're okay. I think
Okay.
we're okay looking at it that way. I think
Okay.
we'll be fine. I think we can cover $30,000. We have the knowledge that we did this because it's an opportunity.
And the
I
attorney
think
is
we're-
not reviewing it because we didn't make
It
that in the
seemed,
motion.
no, I think
Okay,
it seems simple enough.
okay.
Does that sound
Hmm.
right? That's
So
that's an appropriate interpretation of the
Nothing else
motion?
needs to be done?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. This will be a record meeting. I think.
Now we have the
Now we have
Alpine
Alpine Road.
Road.
Yeah, well, so similarly,
That one would have to be financed, correct?
That they would expect payment this year.
Yeah, that would have to go in that funding package.
This would have to go in the finance package.
It would be on, what page are we looking at here for?
Where's the?
105.
Yeah,
starts at 104.
yeah, 105, and then 107 would be so as I mentioned in a previous email, when we have work done by another municipality, we do not have to bid it. So we would be exempt from bidding requirements for this, even though it would exceed, the $25,000 limit. But we do not have money in the budget for this.
We do not have money in the budget for this.
We do not have money in the budget.
Mhm.
In comparison, so this is a 1.63 mile section. Let me just do a quick,
How much is this one?
Page 107.
It's a,
26,236. So how this works is, the town of Brooklyn is in Greene County, and in Greene County, the county seal coats their roads. The idea is that they're going to be seal coating Alpine in the town of Brooklyn. There has been an agreement that they would continue down to the town's portion of Alpine, continue to go straight. That Greene County would bill the town of Brooklyn for all of Alpine, and then the town of Brooklyn would bill us for our portion of Alpine, which is that 26,000. Now, that's an estimate of what that would cost, but Abel indicated to me, which I have no other knowledge, that it generally comes in a little bit higher than what the final.
if we were to do it ourselves, is that what you mean?
No, what Greene County will actually end up bidding. So they come out and they give you an estimate, And then when they're all complete.
Oh, I
and
see what you're
actually
saying.
bill it
gonna
out,
This is- Oh, I got you.
it's like it won't go over
I misheard.
26,
Yep.
but it might be lower, and he said it tends to be lower.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, even at that price, that's averaging $16,109 a mile. And we have been projecting 21 to 23,000
When we bid it.
dollars a
ourselves.
mile for for the seal coating job. So this is a significant difference,
Mhm.
significant savings.
Mhm.
And so we would be paying that premium of 30%, at least 30% if we went and did it on our own.
Now, even if we waited, it would be more.
It would be much, it would be
Deferred, it
30%
would be
more,
much more,
yes.
yes.
So the one question I had about it was just the timing. Because Alpine is newish,
Is
right?
newish.
Was that last year or 18 months ago?
It was last year.
Is that typical, is that a, like best practice to
It
seal
is a
coating?
best, it is a best practice that has not been practiced in this town.
I know that Kathy from Brooklyn said that they typically always do it.
They always do it,
With that
but this,
time.
but this is after, so they seal it up. It starts to waterproof the surface.
Right.
Also gives a surface that in the wintertime snow plowing has a little more traction. So snowplow drivers like it. The maintenance of, this is protecting your investment.
Right. with-
So it seals the surface, keeps the water out, and makes the whole system last longer. And that's why we were wanting to do this on new sections, including our bids for, the Allen Road, the Trustor Circle, and that Allen subdivision. Sealing that, they're relatively new, but it's time to protect that so that we don't have that going to hell early.
And somebody had numbers about that. Somebody had numbers about you really do save
You do
money
save,
if
yeah.
you maintain properly
The
early
sooner-
enough.
The sooner you seal, the better for the long
We
run.
can almost keep these things going indefinitely until they sort of blow up.
Right.
If we do that cheap maintenance often.
Okay, so we're gonna be
So
in the same situation as, maybe in the same situation as with the village cost sharing out here.
Yes, because it's not in the budget,
Because it's not in the budget, right? So where does,
and we don't have a financing package approved.
right?
It's a slippery slope.
okay, well, now how does this move forward? If we are saying, if we make a motion to approve this and develop a financing package to cover the cost of this.
It would go par and course with kind of what you started the meeting with when you made that motion that you were gonna do a financing package.
Would you say it again?
So similar.
Like the
structure.
partner.
So.
If that's what you're gonna continue to do.
Do you know what the timing of this is? I mean, seal
We need
coating,
to get the
I
money.
don't know.
yeah.
It's anticipated to be first half of the summer. Which could be June, but we don't know. Nothing was stated in the,
About when the money's due.
no, but when the money's,
I can guarantee you that I would need to pay the town of Brooklyn.
you what?
I would need to pay the town of Brooklyn as soon as they,
Because they run a pretty
they're gonna
lean,
run.
very lean.
Yes, yes. They're not, this would be nothing where I'm gonna say, hey, can you hold off to September? Just to be clear.
And when, and again, when they're running that tight, this was in their budget this year. It didn't just all of a sudden occur to them. We should seal coat that road.
No, this is something that Able has been telling us they're going to do. And we just don't have a number for it.
I mean, you can look at the budget that we have right? You can look at the budget and I mentioned this before. And you can move around funds in the budget. So for example, there's some seal coating for 15,000, but we've already talked about that you want to continue to do seal coating. You could move that money from seal coating to pay for that $15,000 overage, but then you can't, or I'm sorry, not seal coating, crack filling.
Yes, that would be an
You
easy
can,
one.
you can move that over to pay for the 15,000 that you're over. You can look in your budget. I don't know that there's another $30,000 in there, but I know there's 15,000. And you would then just say, hey, Abel, we're gonna hold off on the crack filling this year in lieu of doing all of
Until we
this.
get, until we get a financing package.
Yes. But at least that's for us to decide. It's not another municipality saying,
Hey,
hey, we're doing this tomorrow. Wanna share in the,
This didn't
Expense.
happen, this didn't happen yesterday.
No, but I think what you did have control over was you could have not approved $26,000 of the seal coating work.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah,
So we could lop off,
you can't anymore. You approved it already. I think that ship sailed.
I will say though that as a board, our main responsibilities are infrastructure and safety. And this definitely is an infrastructure improvement. And I'm not saying necessarily to ignore what might be red flags about the financing. But I'm not overly concerned that the financing wouldn't work out. I think it would all work out, even if we come up with a number tonight of here's the amount of funds that we need. Maybe it's a weirder loan than the Bureau of Public Lands. Maybe it's not that, maybe it's something else. I don't know what it is. But I don't, and I've said this before too, we're not really doing anything frivolous in the town. You know, it's not just.
I guess part of what I'm afraid is like, it's that Jennifer Hansen and Stephanie cannot get money ourselves. That would not be good. You
Right,
guys have to
right.
get the money.
Right.
So when you're going out and approving this and the funds aren't there, that just, do you understand how that creates? So you have to get that money because we can't get that.
Well, it almost like, and again, this really goes back because it's confusing and it is like it's a circular argument in a way. Because in the beginning of the meeting, we could have said, we'll have a vote on a financing package for $500,000.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we could have said for each of these items, okay, this will be covered by this financing package. But in the beginning of the meeting, where was the 500,000? That's not the right number. It's some other number. Exactly. So that's why.
We didn't know if we were gonna agree on all the other items and there's
Right.
some more coming up.
And I think that's why 16C would allow you to say, hey, we're gonna finance these and we're okay with that. But
Right.
Well, mix into this what you had read off that sheet that had the last 10 years of what the major road projects were.
yeah,
And this was averaging between 250 and 350 a year.
yep, because we would take out loans. You saw that loan structure.
So
Yeah,
this is
Yeah.
nothing unusual. So this year, we sort of ended up with,
it is.
paid everything else in the budget, and then we had 140 left over. I guess that's our road budget.
And that's how it is every year. The difference is that in the years past, you stick within that budget in the years that you weren't taking out a loan. And then the next year, you would take out a loan. So it's a little different this year because you're wanting to exceed it. We weren't doing that in the other years. We were just staying within that. One year we did nothing and we top loaded it so that we could do Alpine. So I think your procedure is to say, well, I want to spend that every single year. I'm trying to wrap my head around
No,
getting that
just
done.
to say, that's what has been spent.
It has been, but not every single year. It averages out to that amount, but it's not spent every single year. That Like, there's a year where it's really large, and then there's a year where they're small, and then there's a year where it's large, and then it's small. We're not spending it every single year.
Okay, and we also have had a fair amount of neglect because of that. So let's. We're trying.
And I got an ox. Can we kind of wrap it up? I have dogs at home and I am the only one
Yes,
that
let's-
I can let them out. I apologize.
Okay, well, let's, if we're gonna do anything, we have are we or are we not going to do the Alpine Road maintenance as proposed and such a deal by the town of Brooklyn? And and I guess I'm hoping that if I make a motion, that it's still going to be working on this, that we move to accept the proposal from the town of Brooklyn to be spending up to $26,258 for seal coating our section of Alpine Road, and that we have the funds from a finance package to be developed. And it's that, because that was where we were at with the Farner bid, I believe. Is that still a viable motion?
Yep, it matches the Farner approval. So do we hear a second on that? And I'll second it. Any discussion? No. Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
Then motion fails. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, before we skip on, they also gave us an intergovernmental agreement, and that is on page 104. And this is outside of, it is maintenance, so it talks about, just basically who's snow plowing and mowing.
Hmm.
And I don't know that there's a rush to do it, so if you'd like to look at it, or if you've looked at it and you're okay with it,
Is it with the verbal agreement? Is this just a formal agreement on the verbal agreement we've had?
probably, exactly. Town of Brooklyn has one public works employee, so, you know, we share obviously roads with multiple municipalities,
And has Abel looked at this to say, yep, that's what we've been doing, they must just want to formalize it this
Right.
year?
Right, yes, yes. I wish I would have had some kind of note from him. I don't, unfortunately. I don't think this is a major thing. If you'd like to circle back and I could get something in writing from Abel.
there's probably no rush on this one, right? We could do it in June.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's, you know, if anyone objects to that, let me know, but otherwise, let's postpone that to the June meeting. Bike the Barns, I think was just informational.
I just want to add is that I got another bike one, and it's again on a separate sheet of paper, and this is Rob's Sugar River Ramble. And Arlen, I just wanted you to make sure you're taking a look at this because it's Judd Road to County D.
Yep.
Okay,
That's a pretty untraveled, so that's about the extent of it. The other
Okay.
was Sauk County roads.
okay, all right, so.
Yep, I saw that.
Okay,
Okay, anything else on that one? No. This is 13D is Echo Valley Road survey results. I think those could also be pushed to June.
I
Are there recommendations for,
Abel already
Signs.
went out there on Friday and was moving some signs around. It sounds like you guys, the road and traffic directed him to move some signs.
I think there's some good feedback and signs were some of the key things. So-
And we've had some concerns about Echo Valley, the town, recommended sending out a survey to the residents to return. They did, and we made some changes on the road with road signs
Yeah.
And also,
or front cutting.
Speed limit on Hillcrest.
and then we're also recommending that, looking into changing the speed limit from on Hillcrest from County A to
45.
the
What?
Billbrook.
Yeah.
We have a,
Bellbrook.
we have 45 already from Lincoln to a,
And
but
now I want to extend
but
it
with-
to Bellbrook.
now I want to extend that to Bellbrook because there's that, really that stretch by Echo Valley that's heavily wooded, lots of driveways.
And there's a hidden intersection driveway there.
So it'd be a good thing to do. How do we go about? What is our, I believe that we have the authority to do it as a board,
To change the speed limit
to change the speed limit to 45
without a speed study.
without the speed study.
Do you have any objection to carrying on this conversation in June?
Into what?
In June, in the next meeting?
No problem.
Okay, let's do that. Let's postpone the rest of this to June. Public Works, Jennifer, I know, 14A is about the storage room for, documents.
I would like to talk about that for a brief moment, if you don't mind. And this is important to me only because we have our boxes. So one of my jobs is to be the keeper of the records.
Right.
And our storage room got displaced, right, during the construction. And the idea was that we were gonna put Public Works in there. The problem is we don't have access to our documents. They're kind of spread all over the place and we need to get them. What I would like to do is just to request that documents go back into this room for now, into the, what was going to be the Public Works office.
Right.
Is we have them go back in there, have them put the shelving back up. And that once this can be sorted out, you can decide what to do with them, what to do.
Put it into.
But we have proposals for either a little wooden storage room or a metal container.
And I would say that one of the things that I looked into today, which is part of what's in your record, is where we should be keeping our documents.
And there's a lot of information
And
A
about,
lot of,
environmental conditions for record retention.
yeah.
But let's, okay, tell me, I don't think you need board approval to move the documents, right?
I just want to be sure that
Right.
nobody's going to be like, oh my gosh, that was set aside for Public Works and
Right.
Jennifer is asking, and I'll probably be asking the guys or the summer staff to be putting the shelves back up and be moving it back in there the way it looked previous.
But is that, okay, here, let me just throw this out again.
Yeah.
Next door, would next door be a better short-term option?
I
Or-
think that would probably not meet the requirements of what's in here.
For mildew and
Oh, okay.
dust and
It's pretty,
rodents.
No, that's fine.
it was pretty clear in here that you should not be storing it.
That's gotta be,
In what?
it's gotta be a controlled.
Can it be in a cold storage facility that's rodent proof?
It pretty much says, it pretty much
Not
says in
cold.
here that it never store records in unheated buildings such as barns or sheds.
Barns or
Which is-
what?
Sheds.
Sheds.
We just, I think different, I think Steve was saying that it's gotta be some environmental
It's gotta
control.
be
over
controlled.
there. And I'm not necessarily pushing that, I'm just saying it's an option. You know,
I
if.
understand, I
you know,
need
we
something
leave space
short term
open.
though to get our, we need our
The
documents.
shortest
updated.
possible term would be that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just asking, can we do that because this has been going on for a long time and I would just like to get the documents.
I would say, why, yes.
What, you want to get the documents there, but what, and you're researching whether we can be building a shed, building a storage unit, or bringing in a container into our cold storage warehouse out there. Whether that's going to be an acceptable solution.
And this,
So we have an obligation to have these records retained
I
permanently.
realize that.
Right, and I don't know the conditions that they should be in. Currently, they're in you know, that room is cedar block room. And we're gonna move them someplace.
right,
I think that there's a little bit more research we need to do to figure out where we should put those documents. And
right.
where
And you
they
have,
fit.
there's information in the packet. I mean,
There are- yeah.
you've got tons of
About
information in the
about what
packet,
you need.
but I also think this could. That part of it, like what to do permanently can be part of June's meeting too.
Yeah, in the meantime, can we just move them back in here without having anybody be super upset with?
I think it's- I think
So-
it's-
Yeah.
it's your-
Go for
I think it's your call.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we may not be able to, you're saying we may not be able to do the original plan of having something
No.
built
No, that's totally separate, Arlen. This is just short term now.
short term now. We have something that we have a proposal that we could be having that thing out there built or delivered in a container by the end of the month, in 2 weeks.
I think there were issues with the containers as far as record retention requirements.
The new information that we have doesn't allow
A container?
a container or storage
Or
out in
hold
the
in that.
temporary, out in the
Well,
shed.
not a temporary shed, not temporary. You also have a proposal that something could be built in June, in 2 days in June.
Yeah.
To be out there with the one contractor.
But we're,
But the new, I think the new information,
well, two things, so we haven't. There's a request to move this meeting along. And postpone until June, and I think I think we could in June make a decision on that, because I think we've got,
Okay, then let's make a decision in June.
let's postpone it to June, I think.
But
that's fine.
I can move forward with getting the documents in there and.
Yeah.
until then.
I think that's fine.
For sure.
Thank you, thank you.
But, somehow we're gonna cut this down. The
Summer help?
summer help issue.
Okay, so basically,
Yeah, there is a cadence on 18.
Yeah.
You can't use certain equipment.
Right.
For him to help with mowing, we would need to have a driver so it would be 2 people. It really would be 2 people.
so can I put an ad in the paper that we could hire a summer employee that's 18 years of age?
And we already,
I thought we were,
Now would be the time.
yeah.
It
we
would be two, it would
we-
ultimately be
we
two
have
people.
2 people.
Kate and this other person, so we have to,
We have this position budgeted for.
We do have a position budgeted
A
for.
position.
A position, right? Like I said earlier, we are running into where the budget and comp time are always they're not matching up. So we're gonna go probably over budget somewhere or another, or work's not gonna get done. That's what the board here has to decide. So if a park doesn't get mowed and we get complaints, is it gonna be like, okay, but it's a balancing act.
And we're at this point because we need someone to get the mower out to the,
Mhm.
and Abel can't do it, and
They could, the problem becomes is that they have this comp bank that they
Yeah.
have to use, so they're not here all the time to be able to.
I
do
got
it.
you.
And then in addition to that, we talked about it earlier, is that we do reciprocity with other townships and they have
right.
they have road work. And oftentimes then our guys are not here, they're hauling gravel for another municipality. So,
I think even without resolving necessarily the availability issues and time and coverage and all that, I think we can still put an ad in the paper.
sure.
You know,
The funds
there's
do
no-
come from the park funds, we
Definitely
Yeah.
come
we never,
from-
Yeah.
that's a savings account that we, will
It
transfer
definitely
on
should
because
come from
it's,
park.
Yeah.
we're using, we're using. I don't know what we'll get for a response. It's kind of late in the year, but you never know, because they're still looking for jobs.
But no, I think putting an ad is totally fine. We're not obligated to do anything. But
Yeah.
then we can discuss this again. In June. I mean,
But I think in the meantime, let's get an ad.
Okay, as long as I'm okay, I will be putting an ad in the paper. And I will.
Doesn't have to
Talk
be
to
a
you guys.
full-time person, it doesn't, it could be pinch hitting.
I'm gonna
I'll
talk
do
to the guys, I'm gonna talk to the guys about
Two
how many hours I did off the top of my head, I was thinking. 20 hours a week is what I was thinking, but,
It's usually 4 months or so, just like
Mhm.
or 5, something like that. It's not a ton of money.
right,
And there's plenty in the park.
Okay.
Okay, so
thank you.
you'll see that. Building inspections report, look,
Ours on page 165, that was that,
that's for the culverts.
Yeah.
Culvert
And then-
inspection.
I have a question about the building inspections report, which is item number 15. That's on page 166. Normally I hit page 166 is basically the list that the handwritten list of the building inspector. Underneath it was the safe bill, actual bill that you guys will see when you're signing the vouchers. Is there a particular format? How would you guys like to see? Do you care? Do you want to just see it in there? Do you want it in your packet? You can think about that later. You tell me in June.
Later, but I think it's fine. Okay. Let's. Oh, well, okay, we talked about some of this already a little bit, but not 16A. 16A is the visioning plan. We're gonna have a meeting, we haven't scheduled it yet, so we're gonna have another meeting with the ULE extension person, and then the contract, the proposal, we can. I don't think there's any mad rush, we can talk about that more in June if we need to. 16B, the annexation, we talked a little bit about the meeting that's coming up on Monday. Now, is that the one where I thought, where some people said, originally it was gonna be Tim, me, Jennifer,
And myself,
Stephanie, and then
Yep.
you would want to attend, and I think we opened it, we noticed it as,
No, there's no notice.
oh, it's their meeting. But
Their meeting.
but they.
Other board members cannot attend because that would be a
Oh,
board and then
oh,
you would
yeah.
have to have an audience.
Okay, true.
so this is preliminary.
Okay, so just the two of us. Okay, 16C,
Here it is.
right, so Jennifer,
How do we do that?
Talk about it at another meeting.
I mean, maybe we should because,
We have a separate meeting.
yeah, something. Because what ultimately we're talking about is, like we were saying 10 minutes ago or something like that, we don't know the number. We don't know the number to apply for. But we also have a list of things that we need to apply for.
And you have, that also fits with 16D,
Absolutely does, yeah.
and then there's also
and
E
And,
So maybe,
and F.
and F. It's all that stuff.
maybe at this point, we just form a budget committee.
Budget review.
I wouldn't do a budget, well, if,
How about have a
I'll take the
work session?
definition of,
Budget work session?
yeah,
Work session.
yeah. It would need to be the
Session.
board,
Yeah, yeah.
Work
so that's what we typically do.
Okay.
Yes, that's good.
Okay,
You know. It would be terrible to maybe do something like that, like. Maybe like during a daytime. Possibly,
right,
if everyone's available, you guys could be
done.
yeah.
For me.
Well, we don't end up at 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, thank you. I just,
Sorry, we're getting there, almost there. Okay, town board assignments, Tim, I think Steve talked to you already. If you could take Brooklyn Fire.
Yes.
That'd be
Yep.
great.
Yep, yes.
And. I think that's, I don't remember what else Kate had.
Bring your own water. There's nothing.
Do you have Oregon? Fire or?
Steve's got Oregon.
Oh, Steve has it now.
Yeah, so that might be it for now, Tim, but we'll,
Okay,
We have, okay,
take note then on the next one, the town board meeting for August 6th. Or we're gonna have to move the August, we normally do our board meetings on the second Tuesday of the month. The second Tuesday of the month happens to be our August election. So can everyone note their calendar that we're gonna have it on the 6th of August?
I did.
Thank you.
any other meeting notes?
yes, you have the road and safety committee on June 6th at 8 o'clock for a drive around. And July
18
18th
at 9.
at 9 o'clock for the regular meeting.
July 18th, did you say that was?
And those, and Tim, those are not meetings you have to attend. Those are-
Okay.
But that's the road and traffic.
Yep.
And I don't think that I have the park dates on there either, Steve, but I'll try to make a list and I'll send it out to everyone like that.
And they're online.
They're online too, yeah.
The park meetings.
Yeah, we already,
Park meetings will, so far, we scheduled them for.
Oh, the sixth,
last
there we go.
weekend, so they're on.
Any report communication in the pipe items?
item is 16C through F.
Yep.
Are we going to be having a special work session on that?
Yeah, that's the budget work.
That's what we were talking, yeah.
Budget work
Yes,
Do
session.
we have a date?
no.
No, we're gonna shoot for something during the day.
That's fine.
So that's,
Okay. How about
that's
if
as
I,
much as we got.
how about if I just send an email out to everyone? Is that fine? And then,
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll find it.
Okay.
Those reports that you.
yeah, and you're gonna, we'll say, in your packet, on page 190. The CT report is essentially the town of Oregon's, taxes, like this is what we submit, so this goes to the DNR, sorry, Department of Revenue, so that is, that has been submitted. Baker Tilly helps us with that when they do our audit.
Mhm.
And then, we have ARPA funds. Those are the funds that we've been using to finance some of these projects. And I just wanted to show you, so on page 211, you'll see what we've used so far. And we got, we have some more that we can use, and that will go to pay for the rest of the town, the clerk's office remodel. And it's funding the curbside.
It's,
So
Oh,
we,
it's
so,
covering the
so-
timing.
so Tim, just so we have to pay each month, but we collected in the rears.
Oh, so there's a timing.
There's a timing thing. So we needed capital to buy us time till we got it back. We did it and we were able to time it. So we did 6 months this year. And then we do the first 6 months of next year until we're like made whole essentially. So we had to use this ARPA money to sort of be able to,
Bridge the.
yeah, do that.
We
Okay,
talked to Pelletier at some point and see if they could shift,
if they what?
if they could shift their payments from being in advance. They
That's
won't
the-
do it
No, where that is a state requirement. That's a state.
for them to bill us then.
Okay.
That's okay. We don't need to talk about it.
Okay, I just would like, because I put it in the packet and I know that I'm the one complaining to go home, but I just want to do it because I don't want to put it in the packet next time.
Yep.
One of the things that I wanted to explain, I would like you to look on page 178 in your packet. What was talked about was debt and the town borrowing and basically, is there a limit? There is. The Department of Revenue tells us what we can borrow. We can't borrow over it. So if you look on page 178, this is for Dane County. So it's a percentage of our equalized value. Your equalized value changes every single year. So if you go down to the town of Oregon, you will see that if you go across, our debt limit is, what is that? 9 million, right? Okay. So that's the amount that we're allowed to borrow.
Mhm.
That's kind of our limit. So then you're gonna turn the page and you're gonna go to page 180, 181. And here, you're gonna show the debt that all of the municipalities carry. This is in Dane County. So if you look at the town of Oregon, we have 672,603. So that's the debt that we carry. But I think the interesting thing to look is we are not unlike all the other municipalities in Dane County in the fact that they carry debt. You'll see something like the town of Verona, that will be zero. That's this epic money
Yeah.
that's coming in.
Oh,
So some of that, the town of Burke, that's gonna be annexed, that's going to be no more, they will go away. You can look at something like, it's very interesting, is you can look at something like the like the Village of Oregon, and you know, you'll see something where, you know, they carry debt too, yeah.
That's a lot, a lot.
Village of Oregon is $35 million in debt.
What?
Actually.
The Village of Oregon has $35 million in debt. Holy crap.
I wish we had a picture of your face right now.
So I think it came up at the annual meeting, like, oh my gosh, you guys are so like,
Yeah,
I just wanted
we're
to
just
put that in
spending like spendthrifts.
perspective that this is what's happening. I didn't want to put that into any future, so thank you for indulging me for a minute.
Well, and part of it is nobody has an option. Nobody has got another good option that's reliable and they can control, except for financing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we can do. But no, it's good to see the comparison, gentlemen.
Well, it's out there for people to find. I just don't think.
Look at the Madison, nice. 1,900,000.
Tax.
Yeah. Like you're making.
Kind of doing things like the
Street.
streetlight
Okay.
tax, and they're doing, because they're running up against their debt margin. They borrowed so much, they don't have any more, but as they grow, their equalized value will grow, so that will give them more of a margin. But that tends to get tight and like, you know,
Well, I think that there's at least an informal focus on commercial development there, which makes a lot of sense if they have the space for it. All right, anything else for this meeting that is now ending 4 hours later?
I move to adjourn.
awesome.
Second, anybody?
No second.
There are 3 other agendas, we're not gonna vote on it. Okay.
I don't know, keep this, I think.
Without objection, we're adjourned.
Well,